Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake helping you create something awesome today. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about brand deals, sponsorship. I'm going to be walking you through a lot of things. You can think of this as a free training or a free workshop. You're going to see some things that you typically probably don't see when it comes to brand deals and when content creators talk about their brand deals, influencer marketing, negotiating, contracts, and even what brands want to see. In fact, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of something we're going to look at while we're doing this. Is we're going to look at a tool that none of you have access to and that you probably can't get access to, called Hype Auditor. This is the tool that agencies and brands and companies use to vet us as content creators and give us scores. I'm going to use data from MrBeast Gaming Channel, because what happens is I pay over $300 a month to be able to get access to this tool and to generate reports and to study things. So one, I do a lot of this as background research for some of my higher paying clients. And then two, I use this to develop a lot of my research and my training material around sponsorship and brand deals, in terms of telling you what the perspective is. Like, how do the brands look at us as content creators? Because there's the creator perspective when it comes to brand deals, sponsorships, and making money. And then there's the perspective of the people who actually pay us and write the checks and pay the bills, aka the brands. And what you guys don't see is they have tools and they give us different ratings and quality scores. They also determine pricing with a lot of these, but also what they want to do or whether they want to work with us at all. This estimated integration pricing is not the actual price or the thing that you go off of when pricing your brand deals. Too many of you, you're making a mistake. Y'all are underpricing and undercharging your brand deals because you keep plugging your numbers or plugging your channel data for YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok into a bunch of calculators, and calculators don't really tell you how to do business. Can you imagine me going and working as like a graphic designer and just plugging a bunch of stuff into the calculator and deciding that that's how I'm going to go and charge companies? That'd be ridiculous. It doesn't account for anything to do with my style, my creativity, my approach to the body of work, any outsourcing that I have to do and cover my vendors or my people or my team or my staffing. Calculators just don't work. There's no calculator formula or equation you're going to come up with for how much do I charge? Because a lot of you, you're just looking at your views and you're validating yourself too much off your views. There are a lot of other things that go into it that you guys just don't even look at. Things like brand safety analysis, reputation-based marketing, and other dynamics that go into how you charge, or even just the quality of the content or the uniqueness of the content, the lack of competitors. A lot of you do not have a good foundation for pricing yourselves. And I think a lot of you have never been freelancers before. So I think that the equation thing, looking for a calculator formula, I think it's the same thing. I think it's just basically one of the leftover bad habits that content creators have from working a 9-to-5 job. So we'll definitely be addressing that. And I'll tell you a lot of how I go about those things. You're going to see this is still somewhat relevant, even though it's massively outdated. You're going to see my media kit just to get a good idea of how to communicate to brands and to put yourself in the best light. I'm going to talk about some of my basis for how I put together my media kit. This one is a little old, it's a little outdated because I haven't fully finished a 2023 media kit. And I really haven't had to because I haven't been pursuing that many new brand relationships lately. But I'm going to talk to you about how to pitch. Some friends may drop by on the stream today and we can chop it up. If some friends drop by, we might actually role play negotiating brand deals for you. But if not, you just get to sit back and you get to enjoy some content, some training. We will be taking questions from the chat as well. Super chats will get priority if you're watching on YouTube. So super chat donations will get priority. But I will be addressing questions and I'll be bookmarking questions using StreamYard. I'll be putting a little star by questions. If you want to type the letter Q when you ask your question, that's going to help them stand out for me, as well as super chats. So that's going to be a big thing. And, strap in because we're going to be here for a good while this morning. And then those of you watching the replay, I'm going to try to add chapters to the replay in sections. If it's not specific information, I'll break it down into chunks to where it's reasonable to watch this 30 minutes or an hour at a time or something like that. So we're going to be breaking down a lot of things. We're going to be answering a lot of questions, but we're going to set a foundation for you, and we're going to set some fundamentals. And I think it's going to be really interesting. I think a lot of you are going to get some value out of it. But before we get too heavily into things, we have some announcements. So one of the first things I want to announce is that we are going to be doing a 600,000 subscriber giveaway when I reach 600,000 subscribers. We're almost to 575. So at 600,000 subscribers, we're going to be doing a giveaway. What I have here is we have a Sony vlogging camera. This is the Sony ZV-1F, which means it has a built-in lens, flip out screen, and no, it's not an empty box. It actually has the camera in it. So we're going to be doing a giveaway where we're going to be giving away the Sony camera. We're going to be giving away a full vlogging kit. We're going to give away some microphones. Why can't I open the box? See, this is how you also know it's real. You know it's real because I'm struggling to unbox the bloody thing. There we go. So we're going to be doing, a giveaway. We're going to have a bunch of prizes, 600,000 subscribers. I think we're going to be giving away roughly about $1,000, $1,500 worth of prizes. So yeah, we have a real Sony vlogging camera here to give away. I'm just going to kind of semi-unbox it for you here on camera so you know it's real, so you know it's legit. It's a vlogging camera with a flip-out screen. So we have that to give away for you. And I'm buying a lot of these things out of pocket. For the lights and microphones we're going to be giving away, some of that will come from sponsors. Some of that will come from friends of the channel. Hopefully, we'll be doing some stuff with Deity, Aperture, Newer, Elgato. So we'll have a few other prizes to give away. And what we'll be doing, hopefully, is we'll be doing this kind of giveaway every 100,000 subscribers all the way up until we reach 1 million subscribers. When we reach 1 million subscribers, I'm going to be putting together a $10,000 giveaway. Some of that's going to be out of pocket. Some of it's going to be help from brands. That's why it's good to have a good relationship with brands. They can help you with things like giveaways when you want to do something for your audience. So remember to be subscribed to the channel, because to be eligible for any and all of my giveaways, you have to be a subscriber to the channel. We might do some smaller giveaways over on my Instagram if you want to follow me over there. We're going to be doing some giveaways also for anyone who's a member of the channel. We're going to have some giveaways as well. So there will be multiple opportunities to win something. But the big thing we're doing is we're trying to push toward these subscriber milestones. For 2023, we want to hit 700,000 subscribers. So if we hit 600,000, then we're on the road to 700,000. And then that means we get to do more giveaways this year. And then next year we can do a big push and do more giveaways. So just something to look forward to, something to celebrate those milestones. We know I'm bad at celebrating things, right? We know how terrible I am at celebrating successes instead of just attaining them. So I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I think this will be, something that the community can enjoy. And, it's nice to win things. I wouldn't know because I never win things through luck. I only win things through skill. So some of you will finally get to experience luck because I never do. I only experience bad luck. That's why I don't believe in it. So for those of you who believe in luck, it's like, okay, maybe you get lucky and you win. And so I think that's going to be fun. In the future, I actually might do some kind of contest that requires actual skill to win because I'm a big fan of winning on skill. So, we'll see. But anyway, that's the main housekeeping announcement is we're going to be doing some giveaway stuff. And all of this is possible because of great sponsors like our friends over at TubeBuddy, who sponsor the channel on a regular basis, Epidemic Sound, who I use for my music and my sound effects, and StreamYard, the best live streaming platform in the land, which allows me to do these live streams with you and to make excellent content with a lot less struggle. So thank you to our good friends over at StreamYard, Epidemic Sound, and TubeBuddy. And they also are how I'm financing my giveaways and spending that extra money. So that's why Roberto's pockets cannot get a little bit lighter while doing these giveaways. So thank you to our good friends and sponsors. I'm going to leave their details in the description on the playback for you. So good stuff. And yeah, you watch content, and sometimes one of the nice little side effects is sometimes you win things. So that's kind of cool. So, always something to look forward to. So when it comes to brand deals, and sponsorship, one of the things I do want to show you guys is just kind of like the mindset of the brands. And I want to explain some of those things and some of these terms. I do want to answer your questions. I absolutely want to answer your questions, but there are some fundamentals that I do think it is important to cover so that everybody's kind of on the same page. Because I think people don't have a basic understanding of a lot of these things. So maybe where I should start, instead of looking at like some of these brands requirements up front, let's start with the thing I think most of you struggle with. How do you find brands to work with? How do you find, brands to work with in the first place? And how do you get to work with brands? And I think what a lot of you are making a mistake around is I think a lot of you are waiting for brands to come to you all the time with a build it and they will come mentality. This is what leads to a lot of you getting scammed by brand deals and like these phishing link emails, taking brand deals you shouldn't, only working for free product, because a lot of you are waiting for opportunity to come to you. And I think part of that is because everyone keeps telling you a little bit about like how YouTube is luck and they tell you all these things. And the reality is, the more you believe that stuff, one, a lot of YouTubers say that stuff just to be sound more humble in interviews. So yeah, I said the quiet part out loud. But the other thing is, when people tell you how much luck is involved and everything like that, it's wildly misleading. And it does just sound very humble, because in the reality, a lot of these people's so-called luck that they're talking about is actually just the benefits of preparation and good planning on their part. And they're actually manufacturing their luck. The people who are successful and telling you how lucky they are just stacking the deck and counting cards. They're going to Vegas, they're counting cards, stacking the deck, and then they're telling you, oh, I just got lucky. Of course, you tell the casino that you got lucky, because then you have to admit to counting cards and stacking the deck. So there are brands that work with influencers. I have list upon list of all these brands that work with influencers that I've compiled through a combination of, one, personal experience, working with agencies, going to agency websites and seeing what brands they work with, going to influencers stuff and seeing who they work with, going to podcast and seeing who they work with, et cetera, et cetera. And so I've compiled a list of over 200 brands that work with content creators and influencers. And the main thing I haven't done and that I've been working on is organizing this by categories into spreadsheets, because that's a lot of extra work. So there's a bunch of them that work with tech influencers. There's a bunch of them that work with beauty influencers and lifestyle for women's content. There are ones that, work with you just based on the niche of your content, for example. There are ones that work with podcast more often and specifically. And so the main thing with my spreadsheet has really been getting it more organized based on niche per se, travel influencers, which ones work with them, so on and so forth. And so that's been the more interesting part of something I've been working on, is this comprehensive list. Now, some of you are probably like, okay, Roberto, how do I get this spreadsheet? How do I get this list? In the Brand Deals Starter Kit, something that is a product that I sell on awesomecreatoracademy.com, there's 100 of these listed. But I'm working on a different product that might have these 200 in that for sure. But we're gonna actually it's getting close to 300 when I break it down by its categories, and they're like industry specific brands. So that's something I can talk about later, at the end of our live stream. But the point is, here's the problem that people don't have. They're not making a list of the brands that work with people like them. That's number one. So before you worry about, oh, how do I, get brand deals? Where do I find brand deals? You need to first quantify and make a list of, for your own ability, to the best of your own ability, who already works with people in your niche. Now, don't worry about, oh, how big do I have to be to work with them? Know who works with people in your niche, because you can always grow and get bigger over time in your niche. You need to even know who even is it possible to work with, and who has worked with people like you in your niche in the past. So first of all, stop thinking about your size. That'll come later. The goal is to become good enough and big enough to have something to offer and to work with them. Qualify for the relationship you want, but you don't know how to qualify for the relationship you want until you know who you want a relationship with. So if you want a relationship with a company or a brand, first of all, you need to know, okay, just based on our niche, who can I work with? So who can we work with based on niche? Because who do I share customers with is the question to that. So when you start thinking about your audience and saying, okay, who is my audience a customer of? So who do I share that audience with in terms of a customer base? That's really easy to reverse engineer. And it's much easier to reverse engineer if you're also the customer yourself. So what happens is if you're in a position where you say, I'm making content for people like me. If you're making content for people like you, if you're like, oh, I'm making stuff for people like me, then you're able to look at the 10, 20 things you use on a weekly or daily basis. You're able to look at, well, okay, what's my brand or go-to brand for this thing? What's my go-to brand for that thing, right? Primary example, I'm an Adobe guy. It makes sense that I've had relationships with Adobe because I use Adobe software for everything. It makes sense that I have relationship with StreamYard, Epidemics Down, and TubeBuddy because I use them and I was already a paying customer. So one of the easiest things to do is say, what am I already paying for? Great. You make a list of all the things you're already paying for. Those are brands you already support, brands you probably have already recommended, brands you've already spent money with. So make that list. It's probably 50 to 100 brands that you already spent your money with this year, okay, in the last year. So now that you know, okay, here's what I spent money on the last year, you find out how many of those brands sponsor influencers at all. And then 2, how many do influencers do they work with? How many people in my niche do they work with? Is it compatible with what I'm making now? So that makes a ton of sense. The other thing this does is it helps you avoid scams. Because if you're already paying for the product, the service, the software, the hardware, whatever it is, then you know that working with them isn't a scam. It's like, oh, I'm already a Sony camera user. So it already makes sense to work with Sony and to do things with Sony or to review Sony products. Already makes sense. Same thing for affiliate marketing, by the way. Sponsorship and affiliate marketing go hand in hand. So here's what you can do. First of all, you can take a look at all the products you already use, make a list of those brands. Then you should start advocating for those brands for free already so that you can make content and make it on their behalf. Now, what you don't do is you don't go and pretend to be sponsored by them. You don't pretend to be sponsored by them. What I would do, and what I've done in the past, is this. When I was doing a lot more tech reviews, what would I do? I would review products I already own. And then I would make videos about them. And then I would make money, and the brand's not getting it completely for free. Why? Because I was part of the Amazon influencer program. I keep telling y'all, affiliate marketing, y'all keep wanting to be crybabies and saying affiliate marketing is a scam. Affiliate marketing is not a scam. Everybody can get a refund on most things today. It's like if you can't get a refund on things, you just haven't figured out how to be an adult yet, for the most part, because there's a such thing as chargebacks. There's a such thing as making a claim with your bank. It's very difficult to lose money unless you're gambling. Unless you're gambling and you're doing like quote unquote think you're an investor and you're not qualified to be an investor. In terms of buying a product, when it comes to hardware, physical items, software, or digital products, if something is not what it's supposed to be or it's not delivered on, it's actually very easy, 99% of the time, for a grown adult to get a refund. Amazon has a 30-day, almost no questions asked refund policy. So join the Amazon influencer program. Stop crying and pretending affiliate marketing is a scam when you just don't understand affiliate marketing. Recommend products you already use, already own to your audience if you have the same use case. Then you make money with the affiliate links. The money you make from the affiliate links and the sales is your proof of concept. It's your proof of concept, which means that if you go and you talk to a brand that you don't already have a pre-existing relationship with, we've already hacked it. 1, you're making content about the brand, which means you can tag them in Instagram, you can tag them in Twitter, and you don't pretend to be sponsored. You're just telling them, hey, I support you guys. I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm your biggest friend, and I'm a customer. I'm a fan. I love what you're doing. And here's this cool video I made about the new Sony lens, or here's this video I made about Sony's new vlogging camera. Here's the unboxing video I made. So now you're already an advocate for the brand. It's not very hard to go from advocate and affiliate to ambassador. Understand, advocate, affiliate, ambassador. That's the buildup of a relationship. Just like how It can go from being an acquaintance of someone to becoming a friend of somebody to then being in a relationship with them. You can take progressive steps to say, hey, I need to be acquainted and get to know somebody. And they got to get to know me. They got to be familiar with me. I can't be a stranger and then just leap to relationship. So, okay, don't be a stranger. Then two, so I'm an advocate. I'm a cheerleader. I love what you're doing. I support you, and I make content supporting you. Okay, great. And now I'm an affiliate. Hey, I've proven that I'm someone who can get sales. I'm someone who can drive customers. I'm someone who can promote the brand, and that my audience will buy from me on my word. I have a good reputation. Now that qualifies you to have the relationship of I'm an ambassador of the product, because you already are an advocate of the product. Now you're an affiliate of the product, and now you have the repertoire and the reputation to qualify to have the relationship of being an ambassador of the product. So be a good advocate, be a strong affiliate, and then you qualify to be an ambassador. And now that you're an ambassador, that's how you're sponsored. That's how you're going to be the person who can promote the brand, be on payroll. All right. And so that makes the most sense. Now, like I said, you should qualify brands too. You should qualify brands too. And the way you're going to qualify them is you're like, okay, would I buy this? You probably shouldn't have to ask yourself. What you should do, in my opinion, is spend your own money and not ask if you would buy this. Actually buy something before you promote it to your audience. Buy something and use something before you ever think of promoting it to your audience. You don't want to be a scam. You don't want to be called out. You don't want to promote a scam. It's very simple. Buy the product, use the product, and then be honest about your feelings with the product before there's ever money on the line. Before there's ever money on the line. And then you can also judge these brands and decide if these brands qualify for a relationship with you. Decide if the brand qualifies for a relationship with you. And part of that could be maybe you look into their refund policy. And even if you don't ever want to do a refund, maybe you just see how easy it is to do one. Maybe you test that. Or maybe you talk to them about the refund policy. You talk to someone in customer service. They don't have to know what you're about or what you're up to. Just go through the process and see how nice and easy the customer service is, how nice they are about doing refunds, how easy it is. If you do that, then you know what your audience is going to experience if they are unhappy. And so you have an out for them. You have an easy way to say, oh, it's not that hard. If you don't like it, you can get a refund. It's easy. And you could say that with authority because you went through the process yourself. So I would like to see more content creators put themselves into the same position as their audience by being a customer before they promote anything or advocate for anything. Be a customer, live the experience. Okay. So then you're going off of that. Also, you could start to have red flags for the brands you work with based on values. I don't mind anybody having standards and saying, here are my values and here's what it takes to do business with me. Now, I think that some people can take that way too far and disqualify themselves from opportunities and make it very hard for themselves, early on at least. But I think you can get to a point to where you can get comfortable and say, you know what? Maybe at this level, I was willing to accept certain deals and certain things because I had 10,000 subscribers or 50,000 subscribers, and I was willing to be more flexible. But as I have 50,000, 25,000, 100,000, 500,000, maybe I'm not as flexible. And maybe I have some red lines and I have some more requirements and I have no standards. There's nothing wrong with the goalpost of your standards and requirements for working with a brand, or frankly, working with anybody or any of your relationships, moving as your situation changes and you have more leverage, more experience, and more resources. It's fine for your requirements to change. It's fine for your red flags to change. So just think about these things. So in terms of finding brands, don't be desperate, number one. Two, do your research. Say, here are the brands that I already spend money with. Here are the ones who do business with people like me, do sponsorship and ambassadorship with people like me. Okay, cool. Here are the ones that meet my standards and my requirements if I have any. Here is what it takes to work with them. Do your research and get into what it takes to work with them. And then become an advocate for them. Say, okay, I'm going to work for them for free because I'm already spending my money. So I'm going to review it. And the way I'm going to recoup my money is on my views and AdSense. I'm going to recoup my money on my affiliate links with the Amazon influencer program, or join the direct affiliate program with the company itself if they offer one. If it's not Amazon influencer, do the manufacturer or the company or the software's affiliate program, and it can be higher. Sometimes the commissions end up being much higher. Amazon could be 2 to 8%, but direct from manufacturer could be 10, 15, or 20%. If it's software, it could be 20, 30, or 50%. If it's software, it could be 50% recurring, 30% recurring, 20% recurring every month. Now you have passive income like me, and that ends up being really great. So like these are some of your first foundation principles in terms of working with brands. And in terms of starting with finding brands, it's easy. Start with who you already spent money with. So we've got a super chat in here. This is from Carrot Juice Podcast. Thank you for the $20 super chat. You're always supporting. Really appreciate you. And so let's go ahead and read this super chat. Let me go wide angle here. Roberto, I just want you to know your advice has helped me immensely, especially when it comes to producing content with a strategy that is realistic and sustainable. You're appreciated, sir. Keep up the great work. Thank you. And keep up the great work yourself as well. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate all the support. We had an earlier question that I want to answer that's not a super chat. And so this one comes in from Off Script. And Off Script asks, and hang on one second. Just got to put facial tracking in there. There we go. Off Script asks, do we as content creators and people who need people to sponsor our channels so that we get noticed and have people be interested in wanting to do business with us so that we can make money on YouTube? You don't have to. Some people have the stance that they actually don't take sponsors at all. You don't have to take sponsorship, but I will say the majority of full-time content creators on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram make majority of their money. They make most of their money with sponsored content. So if you want to be full-time, have this pay your bills, leave your 9-to-5 job, that sort of thing, the pathway for most people to that is sponsored content. Now, my pathway, I was a full-time freelancer already. So where I started to make the most money that would replace a full-time income was affiliate marketing. And I started with the Amazon influencer program. Then I also got direct to manufacturer influencer program, affiliate links that pay like 10, 20, 30%. And I then got into software as a service affiliate links and also things that pay bounty commissions that pay flat fees. Like back in the day, you just get like $30 for free trials of some of these things like Epidemic Sound. You still get $5 for free trials of Audible through Amazon. There's other things that do $10 and $20 commissions and bounties for every sign up. Some things have $200 commissions per sign up if it's high-end services, right? Like the company that does my bookkeeping and accounting, they have like a $200 per sign up, like for whoever you sign up, right? So those things end up being really good. There's other things in software where they pay 30% a month, like TubeBuddy and Kajabi, for example. Who else? StreamYard pays monthly commissions as well for signups. So when you get into that realm, you could go the affiliate route before you become a brand ambassador. And so with me, I make maybe recurring revenue about 6,000 because we're in a recession and I've like gone down like 20%, 25%. I used to make more. Guaranteed recurring income from affiliate links is the ones that are monthly recurring. It's about 6,000 or so, 6,000 or a little bit more. And then I have one-time commissions from affiliate sales that then bring my affiliate money to like, $7,000, $8,000 a month from affiliate links alone. So that does really well for me. I could push those things more. I also don't upload enough, but that's what really did it for me, especially in the early days. That's what really did it for me was I was like, oh, affiliates is the best way to make money on the internet aside from freelancing. So my answer was freelancing took me to free time, do what I want, free time with freelancing. And because I control the schedule at least, and I set the price. I control the schedule, I set the price. Then for passive income, it was building up the affiliate links with the content. AdSense paid later. I was in a multi-channel network contract. So multi-channel network was basically stealing half my money on the AdSense. And I wasn't making that much on AdSense, so it didn't matter. Now I do like $3,000 a month on AdSense when I barely upload. If I upload consistently, I will make $3,000 to 6 grand or more on AdSense. If I upload 8 times a month, I will make between 3 and 4 grand on AdSense. If I upload 10 to 15 times a month, I will make 4 to 6 grand on AdSense. And that means for me, that means only making 500,000 views. If I make 500,000 views, I make 6,000 on 500,000 views. Because that's how my content works. I know this is a long-winded answer, but I think your answer is, how do I become a full-time content creator? So if you want to know how do I become a full-time content creator and make money, and make a good income, median salary in America, median income in America is somewhere between 45 and 55,000 is the median income in America, depending on how you measure it. Whether you talk about individual or household, it's 45 to 55K. You can make that in YouTube through a combination of AdSense, affiliate links, and sponsorship. If you don't sell your own products and services, I sell my own products and services. That does relatively well for me as well. I make almost 100 grand a year selling my own products and services. So I make the most money on sponsored content, I would say. And then it's somewhere between my own stuff and affiliate. It just depends year to year how that does. AdSense pays me the least because I work the least at making money from AdSense. But you can go a lot of different ways. I say it's harder for people to make a full-time income if they don't take sponsorships or if they're not willing to promote affiliate links, because then what you're left with is AdSense revenue, donations through Patreon and super chats and things like that. And you're left with whether you're going to sell your own products. The things YouTubers feel safe to sell is merch, because then they don't get criticism. Even I have for years been reluctant to sell a course, even though I'm overqualified to sell a course. That ends this year, but y'all, I'm going to sell a course on brand deals, and then I'm going to sell a YouTube growth course. Whoever wants to buy it can buy it. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to argue with people about whether there's an ethical thing to selling courses. They work for the people who courses work for. Anyone who doesn't like them should be able to get a refund. And I have no problem with people exercising the right to refunds on products they don't like. I think that it's dishonest and disingenuous to call a product that you received that was as delivered a scam. If it's not as delivered what was marketed or advertised, I think that's a scam. I think that selling someone an empty box is a scam. But I think that people need to sober up, not be starving artists. And I think that people need to look at the 7 ways to monetize content to be a full-time content creator, which I talk about constantly. I even talk about it in my book, which is another thing people can sell if they're not comfortable. They can sell books, they can sell merchandise, they can sell a lot of things. I would say influencers should definitely probably stay away from crypto and NFTs. I don't think those things have to be currently scams, but there are so many scams that it's not worth it from a reputation standpoint for any content creator to get involved with them at this point. I would say that the staples of how people make content as a full-time content creator are platform revenue like AdSense or creator funds, donations from their audience, memberships, whether that's in platform memberships, but in platform memberships, they take 30 to 50%. They take 30 to 50%, and they honestly don't give you that much in exchange for the 30 to 50%. If you have your own membership website, you'll keep about 95% of the revenue, but you'll have to go through the process of setting up your own thing and promoting your own thing, but you also have to maintain your own platform and your own email list. They're selling your own services, which means freelancing or consulting, which could include working with brands. So maybe you're not a young content creator as an entertainer. Maybe you're somebody in the business world or has expertise, or you work in the trades. So maybe this is to promote your existing services in your trades, your plumbing business, your real estate business, your repair business, your, whatever you're doing, or your consulting or your coaching. So it could be services. You could sell your own products, physical or digital products. So you could do that. And then beyond that, there's affiliates and there's sponsorships where you're working on the behalf of brands. So that's the 7 streams of income to be a full-time content creator. You have to create some kind of monetization mix, and a healthy monetization mix is some kind of hustle income that you work for, which could be AdSense or sponsorships. It has to be some kind of recurring revenue. And recurring revenue could be sponsored contracts, it could be service contracts, or it could be memberships, or it could be the affiliate links. And then you need some kind of passive income that can generate where your content leads to sales that make you money. And so that passive income could be merchandise, it could be book sales, it could be physical or digital products, could be affiliate. So it'd have to be basically, it comes down to selling something. and that transaction doesn't require more physical labor on your part, but the content sells the product and there's an exchange of value. So like your monetization mix should have 3 different types of ways that you make money that are like, physically really different types. And so I would definitely say that's hustle income, recurring income, and passive income. And I think they have to be distinct in the sense that it's not that they wildly overlap, because like one of those could technically be all 3 things, right? So I think you should distinctly have 3 different ways of accomplishing that kind of thing. And then that makes you a little safer than like a 9-to-5 job where you can be fired, keeps you from relying on AdSense. If you don't get a brand deal come through, you're a little bit safer. So I mean, it's a long-winded answer to that question. I just thought it was important to answer it in detail, because I think the deeper question is, how do I do this full time? So that's part of your answer there. I think that when I get around to it, after I make the YouTube growth course, which will definitely include a lot of monetization stuff, and aside from the brand deals course, at some point, I'm going to make a course that is around being a full-time content creator, because it's the business side of it that people just wildly underestimate, which is why even people who get a lot of subscribers, a lot of them go broke, or a lot of them are struggling, or a lot of them are practically living payday to payday, because they're still doing all this stuff, but they're doing it with a 9-to-5er mentality, and they haven't done it in a way that actually gives them any kind of peace. Because it's like, I think there's very little peace to be had in the 9-to-5 mindset. It's not impossible to have peace in your life as a 9-to-5er. I'm not saying that, but most people never experience that. Most people who work a 9-to-5 job, they might say that they're at least comfortable, but being comfortable is not the same thing as having peace. And a lot of people don't realize that the trade-offs in life all come down to selling your peace for something else, or not having peace because of the lack of something that you require is a prerequisite to you having peace. And there's also like, you have to have, a lot of people use the phrase financial freedom. Financial freedom is not the same thing as independence, and peace lies between a certain amount of freedom and a certain amount of independence in terms of keeping your peace. But that's a deeper philosophical discussion that I think we have time for. But I'm just trying to be realistic. So Tony Locke says, how do we get over the nervousness of reaching out to brands? I think that part of the nervousness of reaching out to brands is not having a plan for reaching out to brands, and not being prepared. One of the reasons I advocate for people to build a media kit like I did is because there's a level of preparedness that goes into building a media kit. So first of all, knowing what opportunities you offer in working with a brand, knowing here's what the potential like options are for the type of relationship we're going to have. Basically, how can we work together? I can mention your brand in a video. I can do a fully dedicated video. I can be at your event and help you promote an event and be at an event activation, or I can do an activation event, a video promoting your event. I can amplify you in Twitter. I can amplify you to a curated email list. I can be the main attraction at a meetup. I can do a presentation that promotes you, a sponsored presentation, write a sponsored article for you. I can do a live stream dedicated to your content or that integrates your content. I can mention your brand in Instagram stories or posts or reels. Here are the things I include in that relationship with me. Here's who I'm aligned with. Here's who my audience is in terms of me explaining who they are. Here is what content styles are aligned with. Here are the demographics for my audience. Here's my reach. So basically, when you know what your reach and reputation are, when you know what you have to offer, when you know how to articulate what you offer and bring to the table, when you know what you bring to the table and you have a really good way to demonstrate that value and present that value, the nervousness goes down and down and down. And the other thing is you just have to take more shots. You'll get better over time. But you also have to really think about what relationship you want to have with a brand and what you offer in that relationship, but also what your requirements in that relationship are. But someone who has a lot of experience with this and someone who's been with the ups and downs of working with brands and can tell you a lot of it and tell you a lot of different relationships is my good friend, Daniel Bittel. Welcome to the
What's going on, Roberto? Yeah, there's been some ups and downs in the last few weeks, huh?
Actually, let's dive into that if you don't mind. It's like I hesitate to call it quote unquote I hesitate to call it like drama because I feel like it far exceeds that in some way. But for the sake of argument, you recently have had a roller coaster saga with a brand that you worked with,
Yes.
and that you were the face and the brand ambassador of the company for like a year and some change.
Yeah, we had an official contract pretty much for the 2020 season. I was their very first brand ambassador. They'd never had one before, and I sort of created that role and said we should do this because
And
of
and
the
and it
because of
went
the
great.
success. Yeah, it
At
did very
first,
well.
it went great.
It went great for a very long time.
Yeah,
Recently.
until recently. So the thing is, I'm willing to, if you're comfortable, I'm willing to name that company. You've made a saga of, I think, five videos, 6 videos deep of this journey of something recently because the brand had a controversy. The brand didn't deliver on promise it made. And the thing is, you, as a former ambassador and heavy advocate for that brand, felt that you were compelled to speak up, which I think, again, a kudos to you for the integrity on that one, because that's very hard to do. A lot of people don't expect that that's what will happen. But do you want to tell your story there of what happened and who the brand is and what this saga has entailed?
Yeah, I mean, I I probably need to start off by saying, listen, I'm not looking to throw any brands under the bus here. That's not
That's
the
the last
goal
thing
of
I'm
this.
looking
Was
to do.
never to take someone I had worked with and somehow put them in a weird light or try to leverage my community to
Not at all.
for any personal gain or anything like that. But I think most of the people here in the chat and probably in the replay would know that I was the very first brand ambassador for a company called Wondershare Filmora. It's a video editing software.
Yes.
And I had a great relationship with them. They'd never had a brand ambassador before. I really liked the software. I started using it when it was much simpler, many versions back, and I liked the software. I've been making videos about it on my channel because my channel was pretty much devoted to teaching people how to make better video content, put it onto YouTube, and then learn how to grow an audience around those videos you upload.
Yes.
So it made a lot of sense in the value proposition of my channel is to show people how to make videos. I said, well, I'll just show them the simplest software that I'm using that I think gets the job done.
Agreed.
And talking about that software it connected very well. So I ended up making quite a few videos. And after I had already probably made 40 or 50 videos about Filmora. I had reached out to them and said, hey, let's do something here. And their initial reaction was,
so you were an advocate first for
Yes.
the brand. You were advocate first.
Yep.
And then were you ever an affiliate for them?
No, I wasn't. And
So you went from advocate to ambassador without this stopover in affiliate land.
Right. And that was actually the very first thing that they offered when I reached out. They said, hey, well, we can give you an affiliate link. It'll be great. And I, me being me, I said, yeah, no, that's not really what I had thinking. I had in my mind here. My goal isn't to just, hopefully have you sell, more sales to your thing just because.
Let's not be casual. Let's put a ring on it. Let's get this contract
Right.
going.
Yeah. I have nothing against affiliate sales. I think they're
Yeah.
fine in their place, but I was starting to become a quite a force in the small arena that was Filmora. A lot of people weren't talking about the software and I was bringing awareness to it. And the affiliate thing wasn't what I had in mind. So what I did is I said, well, that's nice. I said, I have a different idea in mind. And I structured an entire deal and sent it to them, which basically said, you keep your affiliate money. I don't want your money. Whatever sales you make, you keep. And I would like to be paid X amount for 12 months to do the following deliverables on my channel. And we came up with I had a 5-figure deal in mind. And they sort of went, hang on, we have to talk to like our legal team and our inside team. Let us try to digest what you just put on our lap. And along the way, I had made friends with a lot of the different divisions. I knew the people who were running the social media platforms for them, so that I knew who was on like Twitter, and I knew who was doing the marketing So I knew some of the guys who worked for the team who would reach out and they would try to get placement in different, groups and things, Facebook groups. Can you mention us? Things like that. So by the time they internally looked in and said, "Who's Daniel Batal?" This, the corporate entity that's the higher up.
Yes.
Everyone under them was saying, "Oh, we know Daniel. We love Daniel." So I had positioned myself that everyone that they turned to say, "Is this someone we should work with?" All the people at the tiers on the way up all already knew who I was. So that was somewhat intentional when I strategically made that move. The reason I said no to an affiliate thing, a lot of people say, well, why don't you take the affiliate along the way? I wanted a bigger number guaranteed for what I produced. And affiliate sales are nice, but the thing that can be potentially problematic about affiliate sales, especially in this day and era, is brand awareness is not easily tracked. Meaning, yes, if you get someone to watch your video, and yes, you say, hey, and if you're not using the software, please go down in the link in the description, click it. I have a affiliate link, it'll and all that stuff. It's a very forced sales funnel that works. It works. But how many people have watched my videos and went, I've heard that guy talking about Filmora, I'm going to go to their website and check it out, and then bought the software? Or how many people who were using the software who weren't going to renew, but then I started teaching them something, bought a new updated subscription plan because I started giving them the ability to hang on to the software. So there was so many incalculables that I didn't want, and I didn't want something to happen down the line. Like, what if Filmora made a blunder with the software and it stopped selling and all of my money is wrapped up in an affiliate deal? I wanted to get paid for what I was making. So that's where I started.
So that makes sense. And that takes you through a whole journey. I'm glad you brought this up because it does tell everyone like how you did basically exactly what I said earlier. You looked at a product that you already were using, a product that you spent your own money on, a product you could advocate for. You advocated for them. The team became aware of you. You built rapport. You weren't coming out of nowhere. You weren't a stranger just rolling up on them. So there was already a relationship there. And so you were already like multiple videos deep. It wasn't, oh, I made 3 videos for y'all, hey, let's do a deal together. No, you were multiple videos deep. Similar to me with my relationship when I started doing stuff with Adobe, even though we never did a recurring relationship like you, never a long-term ambassadorship per se. We've done multiple deals over the years, spread out across different teams on the Adobe side, on video and other apps and so on and so forth. And so you build the relationship incrementally and intentionally. It's not an accident. And so that's how you got there. And it makes sense. And that's, that's the journey. And then you were able to go and say, okay, this is who Daniel Batal is. They already knew. They were able to advocate for you to be that ambassador. And they didn't even do ambassadorships. You created and wrote your own role and wrote the rules for that role and helped develop that. Now, before we go further, there is a super chat I want to answer from Stevie Loves Horror. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Stevie says, I have 86 subscribers. YouTube won't let me do live streams unless I use StreamYard, which I do, but I'd like to live stream on YouTube so I could reach more people and make possible income. Why am I not qualified? You are. So the thing is, you actually can live stream from desktop, whether you use StreamYard or not, or any other thing with just your camera. If you have 0 subscribers, but you have to activate this in YouTube settings, and there is a 24-hour wait period. So it's a minor verification thing of you activating it. You can do it at 0 subscribers, actually. To do live stream on mobile, on a mobile phone device, 50 subscribers. The requirement used to be higher. Now it's just 50 subscribers. You used to have 1,000 subscribers. Now it's 50, and that's it. So there should be nothing holding you back at 86 subscribers from live streaming. This is just a technical thing you may be unaware of. So now you know, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe. So like, so there's that. But okay, so you became this brand ambassador for Filmora. You then worked with them for a year and essentially became the face of Filmora. They were running you in advertisements. You were making sponsored dedicated videos. You were making tutorials on your channel. You were doing live streams. You were doing giveaways. You were doing all these things. And the thing is, then that relationship didn't move forward. Do you want to talk a little bit about that before we get to the current events?
Yeah. Our first year was wrapping up. They had all the original data that when I had first reached out to them, because I had all this data on how the videos had been performing and where I expected it to go, and I had overperformed for even the expectations based on the initial reach out. So there was all this information that was like everyone was excited to do another year and figure out a number that worked.
Yep.
based on where we were at that point. And there was a substantially better offer on the table. And they actually had it through legal and were sending me documents, and there was just some language in there that I didn't love. That started with you know, that there was a rough no compete clause in the original contract that didn't say anything specific.
It was too vague. It was too open-ended of a non-compete. Right. And so then with the price being offered, you couldn't justify the opportunity cost. Is that about right?
Yeah, and I wasn't looking to work with anybody else in the first year. I was still small enough. I had done the very first ambassador program I had done, our sponsored video stuff I had done on the channel was with another video editing software called Movavi. They were the first company to actually pay me to make the content. And then when we got the Filmora deal done, I had to actually write it in to say, listen, I've got an existing contract with Movavi, and I know they're your competitor, but I have to complete it. So you're just going to have to, you know, this no compete clause is going to be, listen, I'll sort of avoid these companies. I won't make any future deals with, you know, your direct competitors. Well, when we came up to the second one, they had said, okay, you know, the non-compete clause, I read it, you know, read everything that they send you. And in one of the clauses, it basically said that you can't do any work with any other competitors. And I said, well, define any other competitors, because what I would prefer is a very specific list of who I can't, because anyone could be considered your competitor, right? At some point.
Yes.
An app at home could be, a mobile app could be considered your competitor. And I could say, well, you know, I mean, I'd done stuff with Video Leap, Lightricks. And, you know, are they your competitor? I don't know. And they said, oh, no problem. What we'll do is we'll define that. And they sent me back a list of every major, even known video editing software company on the planet. And it just struck me as oh, wow, they really don't want me working with anybody else. And then the more I sat with it, and they just kept, you know, they were like, you know, let us know when we can get started here. I just sat with it, and I started getting this feeling like, well, I looked back and I went, I was an entire year. Another year making nothing but, I can't work with any other companies. I'm not a Filmora channel. I'm a channel that teaches people how to make better video content, put it onto YouTube and grow a YouTube channel. And I started realizing, I took a step back and said, there's plenty of money here. This looks great. I like the company, but the more I do this, the more I become a Filmora channel. And that can be problematic, because how do I ever shake free of that when I try to talk about other things other than Filmora? And trying
but also, how do you protect yourself in that instance in terms of protecting your authenticity if the brand does anything to damage its reputation?
Does it? Yeah, which is one of those things in the clauses. You know, we will never do anything to, you know, while the contract is in effect, to do damage to the other.
Non-disparagement clauses. Right? Yes.
And I got that, you know, and I just, the more I sat there, I just kind of felt like it just feels like the same thing. Like, well, what if something goes wrong? What if the people stop using the software and I'm locked in for another year? I started getting these feelings of, I'm getting put into a box that the price tag is good, but I don't know if I like the box I'm being put into, because I don't, you know, I want to make sure I control where I end up 6 months from now. I want to have control. So sort of last minute, I said, listen, I told him, I said, this is going to feel last minute, but this just doesn't feel right for me right now. I know we've been talking, but I'm feeling a little boxed in. And they said, you know, is there anything we can do? And I said, I just don't think there is right now. And I love you guys. And the people who I'd worked with, they had offices in Vancouver. I like the people. I like the product. I said, I think I need a little time away. I need time to do other things on my channel. And they were understanding. And I did do one or two other things for them afterwards. I think they shortly thereafter released an updated version till Filmora 10. And they asked me, I think we talked, I said, you want me to do a video on the new release and kind of tell people what's in it? And we did a quick one-off deal that ended up, you know, it crushed it. I was the #1 video for that topic on Google and YouTube with, you know, just because of momentum. I just owned it. So it was worth it. There was value there to do a one-off. And I think I did one more. They did a Filmora Fest, kind of a live event that was over a few days, that was training and all kinds of things going on. And I went in and I did a live training course for them on that. But we left on good terms. So that was probably 2021.
That's interesting that you brought that up. So that's another deal, and that's another opportunity that most people don't consider, is like, well, what if I what if I do this for you? What if I do that for you? And it's not always just a one-off promotion. Like you said, you did a whole live like event with them. You did all these other things. So this goes to even the idea of creating these packages. And the thing is, sometimes the brand doesn't come to you with a plan. And sometimes people go, okay, well, what now? But you took that as an opportunity. But also the thing is creative control. You didn't want to get to a point where you felt boxed in. You didn't want to feel like, okay, they're dictating the channel, because that's just being an employee at a certain point, right? So, which defeats the entire point of becoming a full-time content creator. You don't become a full-time content creator to become an employee of one or two brands. And again, them limiting and dictating your opportunities, that becomes like that non-compete all of a sudden becomes an employment contract. It's like, okay, well, what's the, am I just working for the company now? It's like, why am I a 1099? Where's my healthcare? Like so you get what I'm saying is, and this is just a teachable moment to the rest of the audience, is I understand exactly why that wasn't viable going forward. And for the rest of you, just keep in mind, it's like, if a brand isn't coming to you with literally essentially enough compensation to justify the equivalent of like very comfortable full-time employment, and this is just me, I'm talking about, look, if I can't work with other people, you better be coming with, like, even just if I can't work with other people in your category, I want $60,000 to $150,000 a year if I cannot work with other people in your category. But that list better not exceed like half a dozen names.
Yeah. Well, depending on the deliverables.
Depending on the like,
I would want in excess of $100,000 on top of the existing contract.
Well, it
to have
on
me not make a deal with someone else, because I can make a deal for over $100,000 with another.
Right. No, if I can't make a deal with anyone else basically at all, if it gets to a point in a contract where it's like, wait a minute, for what my channel category is, I basically can't have any other sponsors. If I can't have any other sponsors, one, we got to be very reasonable about some deliverables here. Number one. And number two, I better be getting $150,000 a year plus some performance pay. Like, and then if you want me to do anything that exceeds my deliverables, I better get paid on top of that. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the only way at that point you can justify something like that. But you better at that point, in my opinion, have other streams of income. You remember what I said about having a monetization mix? You better have other streams of income that can pay your bills if you have to walk away from that deal. And you better not inflate your lifestyle to where that deal is feeding you. That deal better be going into your coffers exclusively, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the managing of your money part of it. You cannot become reliant on a brand for your livelihood. A lot of YouTubers do. A lot of people will not take this advice. But I believe that when you become beholden to a brand in that capacity, you just become an employee, which defeats the point. And the other problem is, if you tie yourself exclusively to a brand and you don't have other brands that you could rely on, or if you get a bad stable of brands, their reputation becomes your reputation. And then what do you do? And the thing is, fortuitously, that actually leads to where we are today in the Filmora saga. So,
well, just to add on to what you were saying, there's another portion of that where there comes a point where, like, if there's a natural integration, right? If there's a natural integration, StreamYard is a great example. Both of us are on the StreamYard influencer team. We live stream all the time using StreamYard. Right here, you're watching us use StreamYard. It's an easy integration to say, hey, if you want to create a live stream that looks like the one Roberto's making right now, link down in the description where you can join, sign up for StreamYard right now and start live streaming for 20 hours, up to 20 hours a month for free, right? Easy integration. There you go. We weren't doing anything that wasn't natural for us, that made sense and didn't detract from the conversation. But there does come a point where your channel, if you're not careful, and this happens a lot with tech channels, is that you have to be very careful that your entire channel does not turn into one giant commercial where everything on there, it just feels like someone's paying you. This video brought to you by, and this video brought to you by, and this. I got to the point where I was like, I want this video to be brought to you by Daniel Battelle. That's it. That's the only person bringing you the video. So there was a bit of that, and that's not Filmora's fault. That's not anyone's fault. That's my own sort of eyes on the prize of where I wanted to be moving forward down the line, because authenticity is an extremely undervalued quality. So authenticity, integrity, transparency, all of those things come into play when you're making content on YouTube and you're integrating with sponsors. You want to make sure that it's natural. I see so many channels that just middle of the video, it's like, out of nowhere, and I'm not gonna. I know I'm gonna be careful what I say. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but suddenly there's a sponsor that jumps in and has very little to do with what the video's about or what the channel's niche is, and you go, why is that mentioned? You know, like a wallet company, and it's like, what was that about?
With that, I can understand it as a general thing because if it's an everyday use thing, I can understand that. Because
no, I get why people do it. The reach is they go like, listen, we see that your audience fits this demographic.
It's going to show up in our ads anyway.
Yeah, just for me personally, and I'm not knocking anybody. For me personally, I don't like going down that road. I would much rather work with one of those brands and then be on their channel or talk to, create content. I'll make deals where I'll make content for an ad spot for them somewhere. If it is something that I use, I go, it just doesn't make sense on my channel, but I might work with you on your channel and make some content for you on your channel. A lot of people
don't realize they can make $100,000 a year doing the content on the brand's channel. Yep. And it's not about your audience. It's about your reputation. Because that's the problem I have with teaching people that views and subscribers and follower accounts are not the only way to get sponsorship. And it's not the only way to price. Of all things, it's not the only way you price sponsorship. Because now it's about, I'm literally going to work for you as a contractor on your project. Like whenever people want to price their brand deals, I say, imagine that your audience isn't a factor. Imagine you're going on their channel. Now, how much do you charge? Right. And then their heads explode because then they don't have any way to price. I'm like, but that's what you get for caring about your views too much. Like that's what you get.
Well, like, there's an old sort of marketing paradigm that people can't break free of, which is you make a video and then we watch for conversion. How many people watched your video, came from your video to click our link and buy our product? And then they look at sales and then they represent, the sales. And to me, I've never loved that particular, that reference point or that type of deal because one, it's not my job to sell your product. It's my job to talk about your product and my experience with it and then get people to go check out your product. Now, if they land on your website after they click an affiliate link and the site is horrible or slow and a bad experience and they don't purchase, was that my fault or was that your
landing page sucks? It's like, how's that? That's not my fault. I did my job. I drove traffic.
I drove traffic, right? And as I said earlier, there's so much awareness that is unrepresented because I could have made 3, 4, 5 videos about something and someone goes, yeah, I heard Roberto Blake talking about this thing called whatever the product is, and I went online and looked it up and it looked cool, so I bought it. And it completely circumvented that process of you getting any sort of validation or recognition for that awareness. And there's an awareness thing of people even thinking or talking about your product. I have seen more people say, hey, I'm trying to look for a great video editing software that, that's easy to use. And I've seen countless times, check out Filmora, Daniel Batal uses it. And he's done some cool stuff with it. So I get this sort of transitive property that's completely outside of the scope of, did my video, push them through the link? No, but do I deserve credit for that awareness? Absolutely I did. I knew I did. So that was where we were at, is that feeling that I mission accomplished. I'd put their name on the map. People were taking the company serious. A lot of creators were using the software and coming to my channel to learn more about it.
Our crew did that with TubeBuddy. Our crew did that with TubeBuddy. I believe we're accomplishing that same mission with StreamYard and bringing more awareness to that. And we've heard a lot of great feedback as a result of that. Yep. I believe that when you have to look at things, what I call this the influencer marketing triangle. And what I believe in is that triangle represents traffic, trust, transaction. And that's the loop, right? Yep. And the thing is, our responsibility in that is to drive traffic and to create trust. The brand's responsibility is to ultimately not lose that trust and to make the transaction. Right. That's not on us, you see. And that's where the trade-off is in terms of responsibility. Who has the responsibility? Our job, we're driving traffic for you. We're building awareness. Yeah, we're representing the brand well. We're someone to be trusted. We're maintaining our reputation. We're helping you develop a good reputation. Then we've done our job. Yeah. Now, the thing is, those things are prerequisites. You can't get transactions without traffic, and you can't get transactions without trust. You can have all the traffic in the world, and if there's no trust, there's no transaction. You can have all the trust in the world, but if no one knows who the hell you are, like it's a handful of people that trust you, oh, that's great. You're going to have a handful of transactions. You want to scale transactions? Well, great. You need more traffic. Like all problems can be solved with traffic and trust, and you just have to not fail at the transaction point. And a lot of brands do not take responsibility for that.
I think you're right. And and I don't ever want to be a creator who's looking at you saying you really need to buy something. I say, this is what I use. If you're interested, go check them out. I'll show you, I'll tell you, I like it. I've had good experiences, but there's a lot of options out there. So that's one of the things I'm always thinking about.
Well, I try to focus on what people's preferences are. And the thing is, your preferences, because that's my thing about everything. Qualifying you for, I'll give you a primary example. You know why I love Sony cameras and how I always advocate for Sony and I'm always about Sony and everything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I advocate the problems that Sony cameras solve for me. One of the problems that Sony cameras solve for me is that when I travel and I can't bring all my switchers and all my things, is if I plug a USB Type-C cord into it, I have a direct link and I can go ahead into StreamYard with no other hardware, no other software, and I have a clean, perfect output from any of my Sony cameras that are modern Sony cameras. Yep. So that's one of the biggest use cases for it for me. The other one is with Sony cameras, it's one mount. It's the E mount, one mount. That means any Sony lens works with any Sony camera 100% of the time. That's important to me because then it means I'm not buying mounting attachments that then mess with the autofocus, that blah, blah, blah. I don't have to, oh my God, I left that accessory. I can't use this product now. I don't have to think about any of that. It's one mount, one lens across all my cameras. Universal
preaching to the choir here, pal.
ecosystem, right?
Yeah, I love them. I love Sony.
And now they have, all the modern Sony cameras are all about flip out screens. So that means that they're versatile for the hybrid content creator, photography and video.
With the exception of they didn't switch the A1. My A1 still has the flip.
The A1 was the last generation that doesn't do that. That was the last one. And I know
my FX3 does. That's why I have the
FX3. The sequel to the A1 will have the flippy screen. And the reason I know that is because the flagship camera, the R series, now is flippy screens. The R series was not, which is their high resolution camera. So now they have the R5. The R5 tells me what the next generation of the photography cameras will just flip to hybrid cameras, flippy screen. So, the only thing that may never get to flippy screen is the A9 series. They might leave that for photographers who don't want flippy screens. They may leave that for but the Alpha 1 the next generation Alpha 1 will have that. So anyway, I digress. The point is all of their cameras that are sold primarily to video content creators are cameras that now have these features. And the other thing is the no record limit. So I tell people based on preferences and problem. I sell people based on preference and I sell people based on problem.
Yeah.
And that's how I advocate for brands.
Yeah, and if Sony reached out, I don't know if you do business with Sony, but if Sony reached out to me or you, that would be an easy integration because I use your products. I've spent over 20 grand in Sony camera gear just this past year. So easy integration.
Yeah.
I've got I bought an A1, I bought an FX3, I'm 10 grand into lenses. The camera bodies alone in those two.
Oh my God. You're only 10 grand into lenses?
Yeah, well, I'm not you.
Yeah, no. I'm being facetious when I say that because it's 10 grand into lenses already sounds excessive. I'll tell you all, it's not.
Especially when you start buying the big, it's crazy. So listen, and you got a great comment here. Like if we have affiliate links in the video description, do we have to mark the edit on the videos as paid sponsorship? No, you do not. When you talk about a paid video on YouTube, what the paid promotion means, did someone specifically pay you to make that piece of content? An affiliate is just something that you can say, well, if you push them down a sales funnel afterwards, it's a different thing. So you do not have to do that. But if they compensate you and in any way have control over the video you've made and had input on the video you've made and said, we're going to give you either a barter, like we'll hand you some products, doesn't always have to be money, but if they've given you product in return for making a video about it plus an affiliate link, that would be compensation. Compensation can be product. It can be anything like that. Money.
If you own it, if it's not a loaner unit,
right.
If they send you a loaner unit like they do with our good friend Gerald Dunn up in Canada, where no money changes hands, as he likes to say in his videos, no money changed hands. They don't influence the video. They don't even get to see it before you do. Then no, you don't have to put paid promotion in that instance. In affiliate link, you do have to disclose it in the description of the video.
Right at the end, like if you put an affiliate link, make sure that you absolutely down in the link too, that you have to say, put the words like parentheses, affiliate, that you have to make it clear that you are being compensated if someone clicks that link. And that's more of an FTC regulation than anything.
Yes, correct. And so that's the appropriate way to do it. It's also just good for just general transparency to let people know how you benefit from a situation. The other thing you do have to disclose is if you're promoting your own company and it's literally not your name on the company, you have to disclose that you're associated with the company. Or if you're an owner in a company, you have to disclose that you're promoting a company, that you're an owner or a large shareholder in. You know, like if you're doing an Apple product review and you happen to own 10 shares of Apple stock, you don't got to worry about it. Like there's some people out there, there's some people that they're so obsessed with their ethics that they literally have a ethics statement on their website where they literally tell you that, oh yeah, I do tech reviews and I own 20 shares of Apple.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's
nothing
wrong
wrong
with
with
that. I just
that.
think that's extreme.
It is, but you know, hey, you know,
if you want to do it.
If you want to do it, it's excessive transparency is what that is. Like,
yeah,
it's like, unless you're a politician. Guy, if you're a politician, I might want to know.
Oh no, I want every sitting member of Congress's stock trades. I want them.
Well, when you're a creator, I'm kind of like, listen, you can own any stock you want, but just let me know that if they're paying you to make the comments you're making.
Just be reasonably, just be reasonably transparent and honest about these things, and just make sure you're in compliance with the law, and make sure that you understand the law, because as they want to say, ignorance of the law will not be excused from it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Like, but I largely agree with everything you have to say there, and I just do want to make sure that I haven't missed some of these super chats, and I've been starring your questions too, by the way, because we will get to a lot of them. And I want to answer a simple question. Maybe I'll make a video about this in a way, because I do want to make a lot of other simple videos. I don't know how they'll do on views, but I just want to make some videos that answer one question at a time sometimes, because I think there's so many new people in the space that these kind of things are massively helpful. Ricky's Life on Wheels asks, what's a brand ambassador? So Ricky, this is not a silly question at all to ask. So a brand ambassador is when what we like to say is you're in an influencer relationship with a brand, or you might be doing sponsored content with a brand. So a brand ambassador is a way of us just saying that you're not a direct W-2 employee of the brand, but you are someone who is representing the brand in the public arena. You're doing marketing for them. They might be running you in ad promotions. You might be doing sponsored content, and it's a contractual relationship. What it is not, even though some affiliate programs style themselves as ambassador programs, what it's not is when you have a non-contractual relationship with them. Now, what a lot of you need to understand, that an affiliate relationship and a sponsored content relationship are different in the sense that, one, the big differentiator is a legally binding agreement. Not just, a terms of service agreement, but a legally binding agreement that is specific to you as an entity. Not a terms of service agreement that everybody generally in a large group can agree to that's very vague. We have one that's specific to you, and there's specific requirements, deliverables, and expectations that you are legally and honor bound in a duty to perform. And in exchange for a clear, specified amount of compensation that you will be paid at a clearly specified time. And that is the big difference there. And I know that sounds like a lot of legalese and legal jargon, but it's actually very precise language. It's very precise language, because it denotes the accountability within the relationship and the obligations. And that's why I use the phrases honor bound and duty, because the thing is, the legal aspect of that is just about consequences and enforcement, because this is very much a way of formalizing an agreement and taking it beyond verbal. It's taking it beyond verbal. Where a lot of influencers and content creators get scammed is they're told that they're entering into an agreement or an ambassadorship or a sponsorship, and there's nothing that legally obligates or binds the brand to be accountable, nor makes your requirements specific enough for you to be able to prove that you fulfilled your agreement and your requirements. And so that's where you don't want to do these just email deals and everything like that. There's nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned handshake deal, but it does need to be backed by a contract. You could have a verbal agreement, you could have a handshake agreement, and then you have to get it in writing. Then you have to get it in writing. And it has to be a legally enforceable agreement. And so when you aren't working with a company that is very public and very aware and doesn't have a pre-established, let's say, more than 7 or 8 year established public persona and public reputation, let's say, right? Or it's not a publicly traded company, you absolutely need in those situations to have a lawyer look over everything if it's not a truly established entity with a reputation. And I inherently, a lot of times, do not trust companies that are like less than 3 or 5 years old unless I have a lawyer look over the contract, unless people I already know personally have vetted them and have a long term relationship with them. And also, I have to also believe that they don't have like a vested interest in this, in the sense that there's a conflict of interest for them to tell me that, this is a good company. It's like, well, how many shares of stock do you have? Like, what I'm saying? So,
And
so you have to
research in general is a good
the
thing.
research.
We've seen even recently, our friend Tom Nash, who had his channel hijacked and taken over by a company that looked like it looked on paper like they were a brand that was reaching out through email, talked to him a bunch, and then sent him a contract. And when he opened the file, it was actually an exec file, and took over all his information and got into his channel.
Right.
I think that's the details of it. So like even everything, like really doing your research.
Don't open a zip file, a RAR file.
Don't open anything. One of the deals I do is when I talk to companies, about a deal, I will not, unless I know who they are, right? Like we both work with Spreadshop, but even then, I will not work with a company if we haven't had a vid chat and I haven't sat with the representatives and gone through the ideas. I want to know that they exist. I want to do the research. I want to know who I'm talking to. I want to know exactly what the idea is. I know a lot of creators will do that. I'm just going to do that one off. I'm going to do this one product and talk about this product. You can do that if it's a really well-known product.
Existence of the employees via LinkedIn, and then here's how actually this will be when I release the Brand Deal Secrets course. I'll make sure I put this in there, but I'll just give you guys a quick version of it. I verify the existence of employees in LinkedIn. When I work with these brands and companies, I verify the existence of these employees. I find and match their profiles on other social medias. Now, not like, and it won't be everybody. That's why I go to the employee roster of the thing and I try to find information. I go to the press page of the company. I try to find verifiable information that proves that human beings that I would be able by face and name to hold accountable exist, that work for this company. And I can verify that they are who they say they are to some extent. Because again, I'm putting my own reputation on the line. And in my case, I have to be hyper responsible because I have like a very large number of people that could be scammed if that was the case, or could be compromised. And then protecting myself too of like, I'm working with real people. Because you have to remember, here's another safety problem. You're giving these people a lot of personal information and financial information about you when you work with them. When you work with these companies, you have to sign W-9s and contracts, and these people end up knowing where you live or where your WeWork is or these things and stuff like that. So you have to be very careful with who has that information. In some cases,
your social security number or your EIN,
exactly.
LLC,
they're getting very important financial information about you. Do not be casual about this. See, the other thing I try to teach content creators, and why I'm trying to go, you know what? I do want to make these courses, because what I want to do is I want there to be some consolidation of professional standards, and free content doesn't cut it, because free content requires search. It's not a resource where here are the professional standards of doing a thing all in one place, curated and aggregated. I know people like to think that courses are scams, but it's like, in some cases, at least if you get some fundamental education, $500, $400 to know just how not to have your account hacked, not to have a contract that you thought was a real contract that really was just somebody getting your home address and your social security number and committing fraud and identity theft. Like, those things could be very important to know. And not all of that can always be put in detail out into the public eye. And even if it is, it's not always going to be found, but because of distractions, algorithms, so on and so forth, you cannot guarantee that you will even look for the right information. You won't always even know what questions you should have asked, because a lot of you have not considered the dangers of a fake brand deal go way beyond just not getting paid or having your account hacked. There are like even worse things that can happen to you. And a lot of you don't know that. And you don't know how they're doing some of these things and what to look out for. And you can miss a lot of things. And it won't always be something someone wants to make a video about. And even if they do, it doesn't guarantee you're going to watch it. So just be aware.
Not to mention that research in general, it's not always, I mean, that's step one to make sure that the legitimacy of the brand that or company that might be reaching out to you.
Oh yeah.
But then just a historical research of what that company's like and who they've worked with and what they've done in the past. We're kind of coming back full circle here to Filmora.
Oh, but that's why I was leading.
Because you never know what's going to happen in the future, and you sort of want to know the ethics of the company that you work with. If you start getting invested, if your name is associated with them, How have they acted in the
becomes
past?
your
How might they act in the future? Because they're doing the same vetting process with you. They're looking
Exactly.
to see, they're watching you not only on, if you're a YouTube content creator, but if you're on other platforms,
Oh, they're watching.
they're watching to see if you're getting in fights on Twitter and if you're causing trouble and if you're, if you're one of those, ultra political or ultra religious people that has to put it all over the social media and, that kind of stuff that comes along. And people, they watch how you act across platforms.
Best advice, if you want to do this and you want to be serious about this, hey, be a professional. Be a professional. Be like, I don't care. Like, for the most part, there's things you have to care about, and there's things that's about you. Hey, anyone can do what they want. Anyone can do what they want. I'm just going to tell you that I miss the good old days when everybody was a professional. And the thing is, there's conversations to have in big rooms and there's conversations to have in small rooms. And the thing is,
and there's conversations to keep in your head.
There's conversations to keep in your head. There's conversations to keep in your house. And there's conversations that you have with yourself at the voting booth. And the thing is, hey, none of it, nobody's business unless you make it. So like, I miss the good old days of, hey, let's just like go back to being
have a beer. Let's chill out.
Let's just go back to being a professional. Let's go back to agree to disagree. Let's stay out of each other's pockets and let's stay out of each other's houses and call it a day. And let's keep the government out of our houses and our pockets.
Well, yeah, I mean, just one of those things, like really think about like, one of the greatest things that Roberto ever said, I love this quote, and I actually used it the year before last when I presented at Vid Summit, was Roberto said, act like a brand ambassador before you ever become a brand ambassador. And that's so true. Like everything in your world, like if you're expecting to reach out to a company and make make some kind of a deal down the line, that you really should be setting yourself up by the way you act, by the way the kind of content you make, the way you treat people. That all of these things now matter beyond just how many views you get, how many subscribers you have, the kind of person that you are and the way you treat people and the way you act on social media and the kind of brand you're growing. You are growing your own personal brand. So the way, you are an entity, you are a company too.
Exactly.
So you have to make sure that your company ethics and your company morals are on point and that you have a fairly decent compass and North Star that you're following so that you're staying true to that.
Write it down. Write your stuff down. That's why I said earlier in the stream, I was like, also, again, I love this quote. I think it comes from like either a James Bond film or like La Femme Nikita or something from in the old days, like the old spycraft films. That phrase, professionals have standards. And they were talking about the concept of even professional courtesy, like,
between
like,
killers,
between spies, between killers, right? It's like, and the thing is, I respect that. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. The idea of like, wait a minute, my standards are consistent. My standards don't change. My standards are consistent. It's like, I'm a professional. I have standards. This is the way it gets done. This is the way we do it. This is the way we do it. It's like, and that's what it is. And that's what
the great thing about that
looks like.
Is if you learn to have those kind of conversations, it also will inherently build an internal alarm system or radar for when someone comes in, and you'll just know, like, I can tell you, I can spot a bad company or a scam company from usually 100 paces, just because I've done enough deals, I've been around enough companies, I know how things should go, that once you've created the right kind of relationships and you've been down the path, it makes it easier for you to spot the kind of companies you do want to work with moving forward.
Dude, I was offered like 6 different things that have become scams, like, or scandals, if not scams. Some of them aren't scams. Because again, I have to say that, like, in my mind, a scam is when a product isn't delivered and is not what it's described as. And so or if there's fraud that's committed, then so, but a lot of people also turn, I don't like the product or I don't agree with the product into a scam. I don't believe in that. I just think that that's a crappy product. But there were things where if we only go to crappy products, I've been offered hundreds of those. That's hundreds. I'm not exaggerating. Hundreds, because my box is like, I get like 80 things a day that I turn down every day. I'm not even joking. I have to literally just be like, delete, 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 delete. That's why my phone has like, there's a reason why, if you like on my phone, you see where it says, I don't know if you guys can see this. It says like 9,800 emails. It's like, that's why. That's why. That's how wild it is. So it's not an exaggeration. It's not an exaggeration. I turn down or ignore stuff every day.
I think you have to. I think there comes a point where you start realizing you have to have, even I've turned down some great companies that I think are good companies. They just didn't make a lot of either sense for what I'm doing. I've had more companies that I thought were great companies. I'd love to work with them. I just couldn't quite find the fit, or it didn't work with something else I was already doing. and you know, the money looked good and the company was good, and you go, you just can't take them all. It's a bit like, I guess I would make it akin to what I think an actor might go through when they have a bunch of movie roles presented to them. You can't make every movie. You have to sort of pick and choose what you're going to do and which ones to move forward with.
Leonardo DiCaprio won't do sequels,
and you're gonna miss out on some great ones that you go, oh, I guess I looking back, I wish I could have taken that one, but that's how life is.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't regret it. Like, he gets to control his career, and his thing is, I don't do sequels and I don't do action films, and it hasn't hurt him.
Yeah.
Or not action films, is that he won't do superhero films. Films. He'll do an action film, I think, but not superhero films. I'm like, good for you, Leo. And that's like a good thing. There are a lot of actresses that say, hey, I won't do nude scenes. And that's good for them. Have boundaries, have standards, say, this is what my career will look like. See, I think too many content creators leave too many aspects of their own brand, their own standards, their own boundaries, and their own career wildly open-ended instead of literally. And again, you don't have to have everything planned out. And I know creative people want a lot of want a little bit of, like, look, we like flirting with chaos. It's like flirting with chaos is cute. Like, it's cute. Chaos is like cute, comes in like a pair of heels, is very seductive, and then it causes you a lot of problems. It's like, so just keep it to a minimum. Like, keep the chaos to a minimum. Understand that boring is actually really nice sometimes because you get a lot more peace out of making really boring decisions, and boundaries and standards put you in a position to get bored real quick, and it's really comfortable. And it's like, it's just very quiet. Like, it's very quiet. When you have enough standards, you filter a lot of the noise out. You filter a lot of the noise, a lot of the chirping out. Not every shiny object looks good. Oh, a brand, I'm so flat. Yeah. The other thing is, the most vulnerable are the smaller and newer content creators because they're so excited and validated by, a brand even cares about me, took interest in me, reached out to me. You do not have to say yes to every offer.
Well, that's the thing, is I think enough creators out there have the dream of somehow making money from being a content creator. So sometimes when anything is offered, that they just see the prize, and they don't stop and go, wait a minute, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm going to take steps to make sure that whatever I do agree to makes a lot of sense for me. And I got to think about what happens later on, what happens down the line. A perfect example, you just had a comment up there. Stuff happens down the line. I had stuff happen down the line out of the blue, almost, let's see, I stopped working with Filmora. So 2 years after I kind of had stopped working with Filmora, things changed, and you get put in a position where you're going to have to make some hard choices. I had to make some hard choices that were really tough for me. I had the biggest brand in terms of the amount of content on my channel that I've worked with, suddenly had changed their licensing policy.
Yes.
And I found myself in a situation where I owned 3 lifetime licenses to Filmora, one for their regular Filmora product. They used to have separate licenses, one for PC, and then if you had a different operating system, they always had you had to have a different license for different operating systems. So I purchased 2 different licenses, one for PC and one for Mac. I bought them myself. And
that seems odd. Usually lifetime licenses are cross-platform.
Yeah, this was just, that's how, right. But I knew that going in, that's how they did it. If going in, transparency, this is how we do it. I have no issues. That's why I paid for the other one. And they had given me one while I was working with them they had another product they put out called Filmora Pro, which was going to be their higher tier video editing software that was going to do all the things that Filmora couldn't. I have some thoughts on that in retrospect, but that actually got discontinued earlier this year. So my lifetime license isn't worth anything. That software literally came to the end of its lifetime. So that made a ton of sense. I'm not going to argue that. When you're done making the product, that's the end of the lifetime, right? I have no qualms there. But there was, this many years later, what happened was they had changed the verbiage of their lifetime license. Back when I bought it, they were very clear about if you purchased a lifetime license, you would get, what they were referring to was software updates for life, for the rest of the lifetime of that product. And they didn't use the word upgrades. They talked updates was the words in their EULA, their end user license agreement. And that very license allowed me to get, now they would do, version updates, like they'd be making constant new patches and fixes. So you might have like Filmora 8 and they would be releasing, hey, update now because we've got a new version of 8 that has new fixes and a couple new features and we've solved some things. And then eventually what would happen is over time they introduced a newer complete version where they changed the core structure of the product enough the way they built it so they could add more features that you actually had to update to a new version. And those licenses covered all of those updates. They called them updates. Along the way, they started introducing a different language subtly in the background while still selling these lifetime licenses under the original auspice. And I had been, in the year that I worked with them, they still sold lifetime licenses that whole time. That, you know, I've been on my channel telling people, hey, you know, if you're going to try Filmora, and people ask me like, what should I buy? They have a couple different plans. I said, don't buy the plan, buy the license, because then you get, you know, you pay more, but you get updates. You know, you'll own it for life. And every time they come up with a new version, you'll get that version included in your lifetime license. And I had spent a lot of time speaking with the internal team to make sure I understood the licensing structure and how it worked, because there was very specific things that they would say. The language, there was things like, I have an individual license, and it would say individual for personal use, one PC. And then I get people asking me, okay, it says personal use. Does that mean I can't make YouTube videos? Because technically that's business because I make money. And I'd have to sit with the company internal team and say, we need to explain exactly what that is. Do they need you do have a business license? And the team would sit with me and go, no. Personal meaning only one person can use it, and you can only use it on one system logged in at any given time. If you work with a team, if you are a business and you have multiple people all using the software and you want one license, then you would buy a business license, which would allow multiple instances of the software to be run on multiple systems simultaneously. These are the in-depth conversations I used to have with the team. So I was very familiar with how all of the licensing worked. And then out of the blue, just recently, there was an update. Like the software will tell you there's an update available. I opened it up. It said, oh, Filmora 12's out. I'm like, oh, cool. I click it. I open it up and I get hit with a pop-up that says, you know, pay this amount of money to update to the new version. And I'm like, I have a lifetime license. What's happening?
That defeats the entire point of a lifetime license.
Yeah, I was, you know, what you have to think about, and I want to be clear here, what the lifetime license was, and it was only at the time I bought it, they ranged anywhere from $60 to about $80, depending on what time of year you bought it and what the promotions they had going on. But in 2019, when I started working with them, they had a self-proclaimed 1.3 million active users. Okay, so you got to think that when you offer lifetime licenses like that, what you're basically doing is creating a crowdfunding event. You're saying, listen, give us more money now, but what you'll get in return is you'll get access to the as we improve the software, you'll get access to it. And I thought that was
we're not going to be constantly extracting like money out of you. This
subscription fees out of you, right? Exactly. And they did have a subscription plan. They offered a subscription plan along the way to say, listen, you can buy it cheaper and you pay once a year, and every year you'll have to pay that again, but you'll get the same access. But it's going to be based on a yearly event. So you save money on the yearly thing and you can stop. You go, I'm done using it.
Lifetime license, we're saying basically, here's the lifetime value that we are going to have an exchange of value on, and this is it. And we're capping how much money you'll ever have to pay us. But we're not capping how much value you'll get. But we're saying, hey, it's worth it for us because at this point we want the cash infusion per se.
And and think about what that was at that point. Let's say that even in the let's call it the worst case scenario, that every single person had purchased a lifetime license at the lowest available price at that point, that was $60. That's 60 times 1.3 million active users. You're talking about $78 million. I think that's roughly the number. $78 million in crowdfunding. So it was never about like, when they changed the policy, it wasn't like I couldn't afford to do the update. I can afford to buy more software. The question was, well, wait a minute. I was part of an investor team that was, almost $80 million of revenue your way to allow you to keep producing this software, get extra money for it, and you grab that money up front to do exactly what I think you should have done, invested in developers who could make this product better. And now that it's better, you're suddenly changing the rules. So here I was, their very first brand ambassador, who was no longer, I had no contract with them anymore. I still used the software, But suddenly, all these videos on my channel of me talking about how great the product was and saying, get the lifetime license, and how many people
It's now in void. It's now like void.
I had told there literally, it's a countless amount of, when I say there were thousands of people who purchased Filmora because of me, it's tens of thousands of people, if not more, that bought that software on my recommendation, seeing what you could do with it because of my awareness. And suddenly those people were all left in the lurch. So I found myself sitting here in my office going, okay, this isn't just me. This is literally all the people who looked to me and said, Daniel, where should I invest my money? I don't have a lot of money. What if I'm going to buy something? What should I buy? And I pointed them in a direction and made a recommendation. And that recommendation is now biting them all in the butt.
Exactly. No, and that's where, I mean, you have to be careful about reputation management. I think the obvious ones to a lot of people are things like recently there was that the financial stuff with FTX. There was the more general thing with established titles, Masterworks, some knife company. So it's like that's like 4 huge like sponsors where there was like reputational damage to the influencers. There were people who were unhappy and so on and so forth. And now with Filmora, which less people are familiar with because it's a very small ecosystem in terms of the video editing community, is not as big as the entertainment niche where the knife company and the established titles thing would come in, or the finance stuff where Masterworks and FTX, the crypto thing, or BlockFi, the other crypto thing. Those like 5 brands, those are in much bigger niches than the video editing community, right? And so this is not as widespread in a general sense on YouTube, which is why no one else is making videos about it, which means there was no one to advocate for the users aside really from you. It's like, who else was going to be able to advocate and stand up for the users and say, this isn't right. I hear you. I acknowledge your pain. As somebody who has, promoted this company and recommended this company, I don't like this. I don't see it. I don't agree with it. And the thing is, you weren't even pressured or called out in order to do that. Like you did it as a user yourself, which is also one of my points about if you are a user and you buy the product and you see something you don't like or you don't agree with, then stand up for it and everything like that. A lot of times, we don't find ourselves in this position, Danny, because of the people we work with. A lot of times we don't get into this. It's like, there's only so many things. It's like, there's only so many things that I've ever seen a lot of these companies do that it's like, but it's never been some big thing I disagree with, right? It's largely, a lot of my complaints are, I want this feature to be different, or I want this feature to be better, or it's like, it's improvements that I think will come. It's, oh, why not do this? Why not do that? But it's never to a point where I'm like, this is just a bad product now, or, oh, you didn't keep the promise that you made. It's like, and the thing is, I think that has to some extent, because here's the thing, I don't even get mad at people who end up in that position for no reason, because we don't control the companies. We don't control those decisions, right? The only thing we control is our own voice within the scope of whatever contracts we said that also limit our free speech, because let's be like, I'll say something and I think I've only publicly shared this once or twice. Now, regardless of what people's feelings are about it, I'll tell you this. A lot of people, myself included, over the last 3 years, signed contracts that specifically required that when we post to social media, we couldn't be in public and not wear a mask because of how it would reflect on the companies felt it would reflect on them being associated with responsible behavior. Yeah. There are a lot of people I know that said, I won't sign that contract, or they rewrote their contracts to where they didn't have to comply with that. Now, they had the leverage and the juice to not sign those contracts, that way, or they just opted out of it. Either they turned down the money or they rewrote the contract and the company said, we want them bad enough to just let them do what they want and tell them what we'd prefer, but not make it a condition of the contract. Some people get to cross out non-disparagement agreement from their thing because they have the leverage, they have the juice. Some people get to cross out non-compete from their contract because they've got the juice, or they take less money, or they'll walk away from the deal. And the brand's like, oh, I can't have them walk away because my competitor will come and get them. So I have to get them to sign just to not have them go to the other camp. So you have to understand that when we sign these contracts, depending on the provisions, and this is why sometimes you do want a lawyer, or you want to be savvy about these contracts, or you want to do searches in the contract for keywords. There are limits in your free speech, financially and legally enforced by the contracts that you are signing. Now, the good news is, in many cases, when you're no longer in those contracts, as long as you don't say anything that's libelous or slanderous, you have the ability to come forward if there's something you're uncomfortable with or you don't like or that you think was wrong or is unfair, or if the brand does something that in the future, because your videos still exist in your content still exists, to where you feel like they're now damaging your reputation by association, to where you can stand up for yourself. But a lot of times,
and that was the very first thing before I said
consult
anything.
Consult legal counsel.
I did. I immediately pulled out my contracts and went through everything because I didn't want to say something and go, geez, it's been years since I've looked at the contracts. I had no intention of ever bad-mouthing any sponsor, because you got to remember, even me opening up my mouth, I wasn't trying to bad-mouth anybody. I was coming out. I really tried to reach them and say, like, are you guys really doing this? And they would not connect with me. They just kind of kept avoiding and sending a bunch of weird emails back that sort of were somewhat misdirecting the conversation and talking about licenses I didn't have and saying, oh, that's a perpetual license. And you're not giving me I'm getting like the legal form back, what your legal team is telling you to send out. And what I'm not getting is an answer to my actual question. So I had to go back through everything and make sure that, there was nothing I was going to, there wasn't any, standing thing that I might have overlooked in the original signed contract that said like in the here, now and in the future and perpetuity or anything. I wouldn't have signed that, but I'm like, I just need to double check.
Do a search in all contracts for the words perpetuity, in the future, and the word damages.
Yep.
Like if you're going to there's probably I say 10 words in contracts. There's 10 or 15 words in contracts that are, I won't call them red flags. Let's call them yellow flags. Because they might be fine under the right circumstances, but they're yellow flags that in the future could become red flags. Mm-hmm. So it's a yellow light that might be about to turn red.
Right.
It's a yellow light.
Yeah, I'd be real cautious of that.
So it's caution. Daniel, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, Architectural Sheet Metal 101, $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Roberto thanks you. I thank you on behalf of Roberto. Hey, Roberto and Daniel, thanks for all you do. How much free work should we do? I've started doing brand deal work. In my world, none. I think no Daniel, is the right.
Wait.
Let me finish my answer here. The reason I say none is you should not do anything that doesn't have some sort of ROI. Now that ROI might vary what it is. Maybe you're doing some. I made almost 49 or 50 videos on Filmora.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Before I ever had to deal with them, but all of those were to grow my channel. They were doing very well. There was AdSense that was behind it. There's a reason when I structured my deal.
So it's free in quotation marks.
Right. Yeah. Right. So quotation marks is, I think you should never, I think you should do whatever you want to do. I think the better question is should I be allowed to make content without being paid for it? And the answer is yes, because you should be allowed to make whatever you want for whatever reason you want. And when the integrations make sense, run with them. There's plenty of companies that don't even know you're out there. See, one of the things that's interesting is I've worked with a lot of the people in my battalion group, and I've helped them really just destroy it for income. And I've talked about a lot of them. Alton, the Dogfather Barbecue, when he only had a couple thousand subscribers, he booked a session with me and said, I need some help figuring out what we're doing here. And we got him on track. Within a week, he had 7 different brand ambassador deals. He's making a ton of money. It's all about understanding the market and what value you bring to it, and getting yourself set up for success. And there's sometimes that you're going to get paid for stuff, and there's sometimes you're just going to make it because you're building it as an investment into something else, whether that's your own channel growth, whether that's your own AdSense revenue, whether that's your ability to, part of a strategy to connect with a brand later on and go, listen, I need to prove my ground here and say, listen, if I can show that I can connect with a target audience when I happen to mention this product where it makes sense, if it's something you're using every day, architectural sheet metal, if you every day are making videos talking about how to do metal roofing and you're using certain hand tools when you're showing them how to cut the metal, how to assemble the roof, things you want to watch out for. And if that same set of snips that you use every week is in your video, and you say and you happen to keep mentioning every now and then, these still my go-to snips, pick the brand who makes them, right? And then you finally reach out to the company and say, listen, I've got all these videos on metal roofing. I always use your snips. They're always in my hand. I always tell people that I like these snips because they really are my favorite. And those videos have driven, you pull your data out and say, I've got, 2 million views across 30 videos that happen to that show your product in it. That's a lot of reach that you may have not been paid to say that. But what that is, it was an investment in the thing that you might want to leverage later on.
I agree with that. This is also why I also love the affiliate sales, Daniel, because one, you know that there's potential compensation and it's performance-based compensation. Two, it's your proof when you want to do brand deals, even with a different brand, maybe it's same category, maybe it's not. It's just a way to prove that people will buy on your word and prove the buying power of your audience and prove that you have an audience that buys things and pays money based on your word. That's why your own sales numbers can be leveraged in a brand deal. My own sales numbers are leveraged in a brand deal. In fact, my own sales numbers are leveraged on why do I need to work with you? It's like if I promote myself, I make more than if I promote you. Like it's like even as an affiliate, it's like, okay, I'm an affiliate. If I promote you, I make this money. If I promote myself, I make this money. It's like, why would I work for less than okay, this is not enough money to motivate me to make a dedicated video. Here, this is enough money to make a not dedicated video where I shout you out though. So let's go this price. And so it's options and offers. So you can leverage free. You can leverage free to get paid more, but free can be in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Free can be, and that's why I like either Amazon influencer program because you can get money, but you could also prove sales numbers. Or direct to manufacturer affiliate program because you get a higher percentage. And if they have a good dashboard, you still get to prove sales numbers. I give a prime example. I make all these Adobe tutorials. I've made all these. Adobe has an 85% of commission. First month, mind you, on whatever their first month is. But it's 85% commission on whatever their first month is. Which means if they get the whole Creative Cloud, that's like $59 right now. It's like you're getting that's like saying you get an almost $50 bounty right then and there. It's like, that's a sweet deal. If they only do one Adobe program, most of the Adobe programs cost $20 up front. Oh, that's basically, I'm getting a $15, $18 commission bounty per sale. Mm-hmm. You get a tutorial. A tutorial's evergreen, my friend. It could get 2,000 views the first week or day or whatever, but it could get 100 video views a day in perpetuity for 5 freaking years.
And that's one of the things you talked about earlier. Crazy. Like when you're starting to build something and you're going to approach a brand, like if you've done some of the homework and you can show that video, the growth trajectory of your channel and how videos are continuing to perform over time, then you can start. You're not making a deal on what your numbers are today. You're also making a deal on where they're probably going to end up in the future, and you can start leveraging better brand deals along the way. So you're not saying, well, this is how much I drive right now. Well, look at the trajectory. This is how many people are going to be exposed to your product or brand. And that's going to be, and I'm going to keep them on my channel and they'll keep growing. When you talk about free work, it's like, well, what's free work? Like affiliate links. Yeah. Reaching out to a brand. Can I become an affiliate? You might find that, listen, I can do just as well to not reach out to the brand, and I can become an Amazon influencer, and I can just put an Amazon link to that pair of snips we talked about down below. Or better yet, I can become an actual Amazon influencer as opposed to an Amazon associate. I think both of us are Amazon influencers. You can make videos on Amazon, and anytime someone looks that product up, if they watch your video, which is featured on Amazon, you get the sales commission. So you can sit there and go, you get a commission. There's all kinds of ways to make money that doesn't even have to be on your channel. You don't have to do that shilling for anything. Go, I'm filming this. I'm going to stop and I'm going to talk about that great pair of snips. These are what I use them for. You're an authority. You can say I'm a metal roofer. This is what I do every day. These are the ones that are my go-to snips every day because they actually last and they do what they're supposed to. And then you make that video and you put, that short, you put it on Amazon. Easy way to not get forced into turning your channel into a commercial and still doing what we do really well, we're content creators that are also trying to be influencers and create revenue streams around the content we make.
I agree 100%. And that's why, again, I keep talking about this whole idea of a monetization mix. That's why it's like, look, you could be sponsored, like of the main companies that sponsor us, we're also affiliates. So we're like, okay, we get affiliate commissions and we have sponsor recurring, and that's recurring for us, monthly recurring. And the thing is, we also then sometimes funnel some of the fees that we get from that back into things that we get to do to really excite our own members, whether it's our channel members, or in my case, I have a membership website and stuff like that. So we get to then fund the mission in that way. And then we get more revenue out of the investment of doing that thing, or investing into the channel to then get more views or get help to, so it's like circular in that way. But a good mix is really important. This is why I believe this person left earlier, but there was a starred question that I wanted to answer that has to do with something, because it does tie to something that recently I guess some people might have some feelings about. So Dan Kamadra asked, if you're in a high CPM niche, why not just ride the lightning and be happy with AdSense revenue? There are finance channels that make millions from AdSense. Is that not enough? Here's the thing. I have no idea what's enough, and you can decide what's enough because you can say, oh, okay, these people are multimillionaires, but we don't know what their investments are. We don't know what their portfolio is. We don't know when they want to stop and retire. We don't know what the financial side of their wife, kids, fiance, whoever, what that expense or payout looks like. Everyone, we don't know. And the thing is, people get to, part of the entire point of not working a 9-to-5 job is to choose your own adventure in life. So it's not for me to say that when someone chooses their own adventure, it's not for me to decide what their requirements lifestyle wise are, because it's not for me to say what happiness looks like for another person, right? It really isn't. Now it sounds like that's an easy cop out of just saying, oh, you just are advocating for the rich or for scumbags or people who can get whatever they get as much as they want or whatever. But it's like, these people, regardless of what you think, they're still doing the work. They're showing up every day. They're doing their content. They're doing their videos. They are doing essentially their career, their job for as long as they want to do that. I have no idea what their retirement horizon or when they want to stop doing that looks like, or what their needs are, or what their finances are. So I can't speak to that. In terms of taking sponsors, I think they have a responsibility to, within reason, do that in as responsible a way as possible. I'm not going to sit there and say, your company already makes enough money. Why are you releasing a second, third, or fifth product? That's ridiculous of me. It's not for me to say, hey, Apple, you know what? Why don't you make the next iPhone for free? You guys are sitting on $100 billion. Like, it's not for me to, they don't want to do that. That's their prerogative.
And and that I think
it's not for me to tell someone how to run their channel if they're not hiring me to run their channel per se. And also AdSense just means, okay, so they can make whatever content they want as long as it's within advertiser guidelines. They can, as long as they want to self-censor. Like, here's the thing. Here's another thing. There are some creators who don't make AdSense revenue. You know what they do? They take sponsorships with sponsors that agree with edgy content. And therefore, they get to make edgy content that their audience likes. They get to be comedians. They get to not worry about being canceled, quote unquote, because they have brands that will back them up and say, you have your full freedom of speech. We're not going to infringe. Make all the edgy content you want. Curse as much as you want. And there's an audience for people. YouTube just changed the AdSense guidelines. You basically, essentially cannot curse anymore. I mean, you can within reason, but I'm exaggerating. But like, you can't curse in the first 8 seconds of a video anymore at all. Like, okay, so like now, you're restricting yourself there.
Wait, how deep are we into this live stream? Can we drop some F-bombs now?
In theory, we could, but we like the replays and we like the money, and I like the money.
Kidding.
Because I love the money because I'm a greedy capitalist. And when I say stuff like that, I have to use a different voice because then stuff gets clipped. It's like we want all the money.
Yeah. Well, hey, anyway. Stay here for 1 second. Yeah. Here's another thing you don't think about is I have coaching clients who turn off their ads intentionally because they do have specific products that they're pushing towards, or their own courses or something they have, and they don't want other people advertising it in front of it. Maybe an investment.
Your competitors will buy ads.
They'll buy ads right in front of your content to detract from the thing that you might have going on. So there's one thing, and let's keep in mind here. Do you know what the average life cycle of a creator is? Matt Koval covered this recently on his channel, and he did. He used to work. He was the YouTube liaison, and he did all the studies. And he's 5 to 7 years.
And he worked at YouTube before he was the liaison role. He worked at YouTube for almost 10 years. He was a content creator for like 5 years, and they worked at YouTube for 10.
So think about this: a creator nowadays saying, "Well, aren't you happy with the money you're making this year at AdSense revenue? Consider that your career." If you're successful, is going to average 5 to 7 years. It's much like being an athlete. You're going to have a narrow window to make all the money you can make doing that thing. So to tell somebody you should be happy with what you made.
Lifespan of an athlete is 5 to 10 years. Lifespan of a content creator, it's 5 to 7. You can stretch it to 10. For most people of being successful. And that's when you're relevant. And that's after years of being irrelevant. Then you get relevant. Then It's like, great, you got 5 to 7 years to clock this in before you fall off and everything like that. You realize
Not
how
saying
many,
you will. That's not like guaranteed. We're
not
talking
guaranteed,
averages,
but it's the norm. It's
Yeah,
the
it is.
norm. Look at, no one talks about Epic Mealtime anymore. No one talks about, I love Epic Mealtime. I love Harley and the gang. Freddie Wong, one of my favorite YouTubers, the favorite YouTuber of my era, Freddie Wong. No one talks about Freddie Wong anymore. No one talks about Rocket Jump anymore. They are sitting like a handful, like they're sitting like 400,000 subscribers away from a diamond play button, and they've been sitting 400,000 subscribers away from a diamond play button for 5 bloody years. They've been like within arm's reach of a diamond play button for like the last 5 years. Like, because when were they big in YouTube? 2010, 2011, 2012 through 2016. Revolutionized the platform, by the way.
Yeah.
They did one of the first YouTubers to ever get a deal with Netflix for Video Game High School. Epic, one of the most crowd-funded series ever done by an independent content creator before, until our friend Daryl Eves did The Chosen. So like there is a lifespan and a life cycle to these things, and people do not understand that it's not like I think the biggest problem is everyone keeps putting content creator in the same frame of mindset as a 9-to-5 or as a regular 9-to-5 job, or even a corporate career that like, it's like, and it's not that. It is much more akin to being a performer, an athlete, or something like that with a very limited life cycle. If a lot of your stuff in the entertainment stuff and everything like that requires an attractiveness, you definitely have a life cycle. If you're in the gaming niche,
what?
Yeah.
What are you saying? You're saying pretty people like me are gonna have an expiration date?
No,
I can't even say that with a straight face.
Daniel, with your full head of hair, you have more hair than I do. You good. You good. But it's also things. Look at niches like gaming. The relevancy of a person. If you started a gaming channel, like, oh, I finally did it. And you're like 28. The thing is, how long is your gaming channel going to last? Your gaming channel, if you went to one video game, will last as long as that game is relevant. How long can that game be relevant for? That's not up to you. What if the developers have a scandal? What if the company goes under? What if they mess up? What if they do microtransactions? What if they do pay to play? What if they do all these things? So
what if you burn out and you just don't have the energy, time, or patience to do it anymore?
Or you don't love the game anymore. Exactly. What if you get sick? What if you get like all these different things? So the thing is, it is in the interest of a creator. And then people will say things like, well, you could always just go back to getting a regular 9-to-5 job. It's like, they're actually psychologically, maybe no, you can't. And maybe you age out of that industry, to be honest, everything like that. And maybe you don't. And also, do you really think people who stay out of the game for 5 or 8 years, you think they're hireable again in a regular way? Not necessarily. Are there exit plans for creators that age out of their stuff? Yes, you could, in theory, go work. If you have good relationships with brands and sponsors, guess what your exit strategy is? You go and you work at those companies, and you go work at a brand or sponsor. As long as you kept a good reputation and you didn't burn bridges, you go and you work internal to the company. You go take that 6-figure salary, and then you hope that company doesn't go under. And then you're back, and then you're right back kind of where, to some extent, with maybe some options, maybe some caveats. But you see what I'm saying? It's like, now, again, I know this person is specifically talking to people about people who theoretically are already rich, but people lose fortunes all the time, one way or another. And people who have that money, they're not sitting on cash. They're sitting on investments that can go bust for any number of reasons. Real estate market can change. It did in 2008. Me and Daniel and most of you watching are old enough to actually remember that, and we're adults when that happened. We were adults when that happened. You can lose everything in the market under the wrong circumstances through no fault of your own, through something like a global pandemic or global market manipulation. There's any number of things that can do that aren't your fault, because people gamble with your money. There's your money in the bank is only insured up to about $250,000, if I'm not mistaken. Like, so you think you're a millionaire? Even if you have $1 million in the bank, it's like, no, you've got $250,000 that you can guarantee safely is in the bank. If the bank screws up, like, that's it. There's not as many things that are certain or safe in life as people want to think there are. And you should always be diversifying yourself in your content strategy, your finances. This is life advice. This is not financial advice. This is life advice. In life, hedge your bets. In life, don't assume that you're safe. Don't assume that you have any type of security. Don't assume that you have, quote unquote, enough in many cases, because life has an interesting way of humbling you and taking those plans and saying, oh, that's adorable.
Hell yeah. Hell
Life
yeah.
has an interesting way of doing that. And I think a lot of us learned that lesson the hard way over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
That anything you thought you had absolutely any certainty about, last 3 years should have removed any of your naivete about
the
that.
world can change very quickly. I mean, you said 2008. I remember the crash back in the late 80s. That's how old I am. You know, I remember the housing market fell up, the economy collapsed, the housing market fell apart. Everything was a mess in the late 80s. I had to survive 2 of those huge economic collapses, and it was scary in the pandemic as an almost third. The economy stood strong, which was great. But yeah, those things happen. You have to think about, you know, like for me personally, as a creator, my goal in general is to be retired in 6 years. And that's pushing the amount of time that I can actually exist as a creator. If I can,
well, that's what I mean about like horizons. Correct. Yeah. Like
I know, because I mean,
timelines, the exit strategy and horizon timeline.
Yeah, you got to get out at some point. You have to say it's got to be done. And for me, I've said, you know, like I'm, you know, 62 was my mark. I said 62. If I'm working, it's because I feel like I want to do some work. I don't want to have to be doing anything.
It's
but
passion at that point. It's passion. It's purpose driven. It's not.
So everything I do from now to then is like, you know, that was my first goal, was to get rid of all debt, pay off houses, get rid of all debt. And now I just exist just to sort of build that, you know, keep increasing the nest egg so I can do what I want moving forward, work with who I want moving forward, or not work with who I want moving forward. That's the whole goal. So back to that original question, like, is enough? When you think what it takes to retire, like if I couldn't retire right now, I have enough that I could probably retire for 10 years, and then I'd probably evaporate my savings. And if there was any major health crisis that you know, as much as I have great health coverage, doesn't cover everything. There could be some catastrophic things.
Well, you
need several $1 million to retire in the United States nowadays. And I don't have several million yet. So
you're in a relationship. You have a mortgage. You have a son. You have like.
Well, I don't have a mortgage. Mortgage is gone. But
you paid off the mortgage.
Yeah, everything's out. I'm debt free. I don't owe anybody any money.
Congratulations on that one. Okay, great. So. But the thing is, in general, it still takes like, I don't think people understand, because I think they're used to like a little bit of the struggle bus thing. And because like I was very ignorant about money until I was like until I left, like when I was like 27, 28, when I left like and became full-time freelancer, but I was somewhat educated about money to the extent of slightly above average, which only means that means when I turned 28 years old, I realized that being slightly above average about money is still being woefully ignorant. It still means you're ignorant about 90% of what you should know, which means that my rate, like, okay, great, I'm above average. That means I'm like a 15 instead of a 10, and the scale goes to 100. So that great, fantastic. So then I had to learn and get myself to a point to where I'd say now financially, I'd put myself at, just because there's still a long ways to go. But getting to like a 70 or 80 financially, being like that's being like ridiculous. But I think you can only get there when you have had a mortgage, for example, when you've paid considerable amounts of taxes. When you start paying 5 figures in taxes, you're much more educated about taxes than the average person. And you probably have not done that if you're a 9-to-5. Like if you're in a 9-to-5, it's very rare unless you get very high in the corporate ladder, but they're taking taxes out of you. When I say pay taxes, I mean pay at the end of the year when you have to have an out-of-pocket multiple 5-figure tax bill. You learn a lot more about how taxes work. When you get to the point where you have to not use H&R Block and TurboTax, and where you have to get an actual accountant, you will learn a lot more. And one of the things content creators mess up, Daniel, you know this better than anybody. Like we see a lot of content creators, they do not approach the saving enough money for taxes, understanding the implications of taxes, understanding the deductions, going to people will make money on AdSense, but they won't pay the extra money just out of a monthly
paying
fee.
Paying your quarterlies, like the idea of, you know, you should be paying
or even just putting aside the money, if nothing else.
It's hard enough when you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars every 3 months into the year. And then at the end of the year, you still owe some more money. Like, you know, there's a lot of money that goes out. So yeah, understanding the tax burdens of what you do, understanding how to reinvest. There's a reason. A lot of times, like I make fun of it. Like people go like, "Oh, Daniel went and he bought some new fancy camera." Well, that fancy camera I bought was because I made enough money. I didn't want to give it all away in taxes. That it's better to reinvest a
And to do it
certain
before the end of the year.
allocate the amount of money that you want to reinvest into the thing you do, so that you can make better content, that you can do the things you want to do, and that you can write those things off to so that you've reinvested in what you build, so that your tax burden isn't so excessive at the end of the year. So there's a lot of strategy when you're a creator about, like, if you think just making all the money and pocketing is the right way to go, I'll tell you that's a big mistake. You got to really think about what you're doing down the line, because there's a lot of implications.
There's another complication that people don't understand. So I think it was like not last year, maybe it was the year before. Remember, there was that year, I think it was the year before last year. Remember when I went crazy and I like bought like $30,000 worth of camera gear?
Yeah.
I bought that pre-inflation. Let that sink in. I bought that pre-inflation, which means the money I spent then would cost me now, because it's been like 2 years. It would cost, the value of that money would be worth like almost 16% less today, which means I spent it when it was at its peak value. I spent that money when it was at its peak value. Then that's not saying the price on those Sony cameras and lenses changed. It meant the other things I could buy with that money, that that with inflation, the value of that money has decreased over multiple years by a factor of such a high percentage that depending on what I buy, because if I buy food, it's like even worse. But it's like depending on what else I spend that $30,000 on, that $30,000 today would probably only buy about roughly 24,000 or less worth of stuff. So that means that I did that. Now it was also deductible. And what I also did when I bought that new stuff was a lot of it replaced previous versions of cameras and stuff. Because a lot of you might remember, I sold a bunch of other camera gear. So when I sold that camera gear was still very good condition. I still kept all the boxes. It was relatively new. What I sell it for, about somewhere between 60 to 70% of its value in most cases. Roll that into my new investment, which means I recycled 60 to 70% of the dollars of anything that I had to spend on for the products that I sold versus their upgrades, which meant I not only saved money, recycled money, but also by buying it then, I beat the future inflation in the market in terms of the value of the money I'm spending, and I still got tax deductions on it. Yeah. So the thing
there's
is,
always there's and it's not just stuff. There's so many things that, like, I think the average creator doesn't invest in. I have liability insurance on everything on my entire company, so that God forbid,
remember,
if I ever said something on one of my videos that someone came after me, that I am insured, so that if someone did try to come after me for damages, I carry insurance so that they can't wipe me out personally. I have my company. What I do is in an LLC. It's not my name. I have Creator Conversations LLC. So I have a veil of corporate protection over what I do. Learning all these things is really important. We could talk for days on this stuff, and there are people who would still teach us every day something we already don't know. I will say, educating. The one thing I love about you, Roberto, and I do have to get running, I'm going to end with this. The thing I love about what you do here is you really have always been the beacon for educating creators and entrepreneurs in the creator economy space. Nobody does it as well as you do. Nobody tackles all the issues the way you do, and nobody is unafraid of talking about the stuff that may not get all the views in the world and grow your channel the fastest, but it's the absolute thing that nobody else wants to talk about, but it needs to be discussed. And I applaud you for always being here and doing that, Roberto. It's where you stand.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm actually doubling down on that for this year especially. I have a playlist that you might have seen on my channel. I actually took a lot of playlist advice from you and D, because I'm always learning too, from your Vid Summit presentation. You guys' Vid Summit presentation is part of why I made a certain playlist on my channel called like Creator Business School, because I want to do like more content that it may not get the views, but I want to talk about the business end of being a content creator explicitly. I want to talk about a lot more of that. And one of the videos I put in there is the video I know gets searched every year, is my tax videos for being a YouTuber. And that's very important. I think it's what you said. I have media coverage insurance too, but I also have hardware insurance, and we know how much that matters. I have media coverage insurance. I have up to $2 million in liability for not just that, but for errors and omissions as well. In case I screw something up in a contract, it's like up to 2 million for that. I have liability insurance in case someone gets hurt while I'm doing a project. I have, even though I mostly work by myself, for most of my content creator stuff, but if I happen to have somebody doing contract work for me, filming me or something like that, they're filming me with a gimbal and they slip and fall and everything like that.
Same thing. I mean, Megan works me, she's my channel manager. I pay into workman's comp every single month, you know, every paycheck so there's all these things that come along with that. That's like, we could go on forever, but listen, thank you for having me on. I don't want to slow you down in your discussion here, but thanks for having me. Everyone in the chat, stick around. I'm sure Roberto's got nothing but more great things to talk about.
We've got another half hour to an hour. Thank you, Daniel, for joining me and for sharing your creator journey and a little bit of the Filmora saga. Make sure you guys check out Daniel Battelle. I'm going to link him in the description after this, and make sure you check out you know, the Filmora saga, because I think it's just I think it's just enlightening, and if not, it'll be a little entertaining, but I think it's great. I love the transparency, and thank you, by the way, for everything you do for content creators, and thank you for your transparency, your integrity, and you know, for fighting the good fight. Because, by the way, the resolution to this has been that there is a resolution where the brand did you know,
they came around.
They came around, they walked some things back, and they came through for the community, and that's the outcome you really want. At the end of the day, that's the outcome you want. Is you want a real resolution, you want real accountability, and you know, you don't get that when people don't stand up and say something. So again, thanks so much, Daniel.
All right, pal, have a great day. Everyone in the chat, you too.
You too. All right, and I will answer a lot of your questions here. I've starred a lot of them and circle back. And like I said, again, some of these things also you can take with a grain of salt, but there's different experiences. And you know, again, I'm going to also do some interviews with creators that I have coming up. I have an interview coming out with Max the Meat Guy, over 3 million subscribers from YouTube Shorts. I have an interview with Sean Cannell coming out, 2 million subs in the creator economy space. And also I have a creator in the art space, Sarah Renee Clark, who grew a 7-figure business and 6-figure YouTube, 100,000 subscribers in, I think, a year. And she's going to explain her journey. So I have interviews coming out with other creators about their success stories, and that's going to be great. Leah wants to know, hey, Roberto, when will your brand deal course be released? It'll be sometime this year. The filming is definitely happening in the first part of the year here. It's already been outlined. Everything's been scripted. Everything's been written for it. It has to actually be shot and performed and edited, but it'll come later this year. First half of the year. Let's see. Yeah. Also, great discussion in the chat. Thank you for everybody who's been participating in the chat. I really like what I've been seeing there. Major League Unboxing says, question, I get a lot of views, but I have 1,700 subs. Will that stop me from getting brand deals? Here's the thing. I think I know a lot of smaller YouTubers are like, how can I get brand deals? How can I get brand deals under 10,000, under 5,000? But I think that you have the wrong priorities if you're looking for brand deals now. And it's not because I don't believe you couldn't get them with a smaller channel. My issue is I think that focusing on brand deals when you have less than 10,000 subscribers is going to make it harder to get to 10,000 subscribers. And so what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of you don't realize that 90% of YouTubers never get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube in their entire career, like ever, never. Like, you know, you could like, and this is not discouraging of like, never gonna get it, like 90% of people never get it. And one of the things that I've noticed in people never getting it is they're focused on everything else at the same time. After they get monetized, when creators want to get monetized, it's all they think about. It's all they do. They go 4,000 hours, 1,000 subscribers, and they get monetized, right? And even most creators aren't even monetized on YouTube. There's only about 3 million creators in the entire YouTube partner program, and there's 100 million creators on YouTube. So when you start realizing this, it's not because it's impossible to succeed on YouTube. It's not impossible to make money on YouTube. It's not impossible to make a full-time living. It's not impossible to get to 10,000 subscribers. It's that people are not doing what it actually takes, because if you focus on one thing at a time, especially for those of you who work full-time, you're already taking the scraps of leftover energy. I talked about this in my recent 2 videos. You're already taking the scraps of leftover energy after working 40, 50 hours a week and then still maintaining yourself and maintaining your household or whatever you're doing. And then after that, you're saying, I want to be a content creator. It's hard enough to do that as it is. When you start deciding to break brand deals into the equation, now you're diluting your effort, and now you're not concentrating your full effort on one thing. At least when people are like, I'm going to get monetized, they're like full speed ahead, tunnel vision. But some of them aren't even doing that. People are not doing what it takes. They're like, oh, I don't want a niche. I don't want a niche. It's like, then you don't have a focus, which is going to make it harder to get any outcome that you're looking for. Any outcome that you're looking for. If you just focus on like one thing at a time, as hard as it is, as unfun as that can be sometimes, it's much easier to achieve a goal. It's much easier to achieve an outcome. It's going to be hard work, but it simplifies it. It simplifies it. And it means that all of your energy, all of your resources, all of your money, all of your time, all of your calories, all of your focus is going in one direction, wearing down that one thing and wearing down the resistance that you have to that one thing, chipping away, chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. But if you decide, oh, I'm going to do this other thing, I'm going to devote energy to this other thing, you have less energy to devote to the task at hand. So a lot of you, even if you got brand deals and this and that, a lot of you will be sad if you can't get to 10,000 subscribers and really feel like you have more of a voice, more of an impact, more of a community, and like you're getting somewhere. Because then that's a tenth of the way to where you could start to think about if you wanted to get a silver play button and be acknowledged by the community and acknowledged by YouTube. It's like 10,000 subscribers is like that first real step besides getting monetized. Is when you get 1,000 subscribers, you get monetized. You're like, I'm 100th of the way. If I wanted to really be like, you know, maybe a full-time YouTuber, maybe really feel like I represent the community in a larger way. If you wanted that goal, when you get monetized, you're like a 100th of the way to that goal. When you get to 10,000 subscribers, you're a 10th of the way to that goal. And that makes it feel much more achievable and realistic. But it's very hard to get to 10,000 if you're like, I want to do this. I want to do YouTube and Twitch. I want to do this. I want to do brand deals. I want to do like it, like, because that's a distraction, because the energy and focus and research and everything it takes to do brand deals, it's a lot of work. Part of charging the right thing for brand deals is all the time that brands suck away from you, because like you're going to have to be willing to get on like an hour-long call with a brand, and you're going to have to do revisions. You're going to have to do all this stuff that's not making videos. When you take a brand deal, the effort that goes into accepting the brand deal and fulfilling the brand deal, if you did that same energy, you'd have 3 or 4 non-sponsored videos. So in a lot of ways, a lot of people are underpriced because they also need to kind of think about, well, what if I just charge for a brand deal something close to what I make in a month if I don't take the brand deal at all? Like, that's something that I know some creators do. I'm not saying that's the only way to charge or the right way to charge, but some creators do that because the opportunity cost in time, energy, and resources of doing a brand deal, going back and forth with the brand, doing revisions when they want to change something, setting up meetings, waiting for contracts to get signed, all these things, it depletes energy that you could just be full steam ahead, growing your audience, give 100% of your extra effort to the audience instead of to a brand. Now you're dividing your energy between the audience and growth and a brand deal and getting paid. And in a lot of cases, that's going to, the more you do it, the more it's going to stifle your growth. And a lot of you, there's easier ways to make money when you're small. Brand deals are better money as you grow, but they're not really worth it that much when you're small. You can make the same amount. A lot of brands, if you're under 10,000 subscribers, it's very hard to get $1,000 out of a brand. It's very hard to get $500 a brand. There's exceptions to that rule. Yet, without signing a contract, being beholden, and sucking up as much time, there are faster, easier ways with your YouTube channel or on the internet to get $500, $1,000. They'd be a yippee, a brand deal. It's just like you might have to do a little bit of extra work, but it's actually, in some ways, it's a lot simpler, or maybe even it's easier sometimes to make that same $500 to $1,000 without the brand, if that's all they'd be offering. So a lot of brands, sometimes they want to offer less than that, and people will take it, and it's not really worth it, and they regret it later. It's better to wait until you have leverage to do brand deals. Some of you are doing brand deals early because you just feel it legitimizes you as a small creator, and then other brands will flock to you. It's like, no, that's not usually how it works. It's better to build a reputation and to be able then to do brand deals on your own terms, because we already walked you through how some of these contracts go sideways. It's better to not worry about feeling legit and to emotionally divorce yourself from these things. Deal with it as a professional and really determine that this thing is going to be worth your time and worth your energy. And I would say that getting to 10,000 subscribers is worth more effort, attention, and energy for a lot of you, or at least 5,000, because then you have some momentum. Also, you don't want the audience feeling like you're cashing in too early. Some people are really put off by it. And I'm not saying you have to be beholden to the audience in that way either, or not set boundaries, not at all. I'm just saying that sometimes that makes the audience feel some type of way, and then you have to make up for it in some other way. I mean, you saw it yourself. There are huge creators that are getting backlash on brand deals they take now. The other thing is, the earlier you do a brand deal, the earlier you're taking some risk on your reputation. Maybe you don't want to do that when you're smaller. Maybe you want to do that when you're larger, because then you have a way of dealing with that reputational hit a little better, possibly. So I just want you guys to consider that there are downsides to working with brands. There are downsides. So sometimes delaying those things to a point to where you're more comfortable and to where this is purely profitable, for example, could be like, not all of you need to wait till then. I'll give you a primary example. Again, I mostly, like, it took me a long time to do more brand deals. It took me a long time in my YouTube career to do more brand deals. There's nothing wrong with doing brand deals, but I held out, and I also didn't do it as frequently as a lot of my friends for years and years and years and years. For years and years. I had 100,000 subscribers, and I still wasn't like aggressively doing brand deals. Those of you who've been long time subscribers to the channel, remember that I wasn't doing aggressive brand deals for years and years and years. And I focused on my own stuff with Awesome Creator Academy starting in like 2017, 2018. And so doing one-on-one coaching and doing a group membership. And that's not even selling a course. Remember, I haven't even built a real course yet. I haven't built like a $500 course or $400 course or whatever yet. I'm doing that now. Like 10 years later, like after the fact. I'm doing it. God, it's been 6 years, going on 7 years since I hit 100,000 subscribers. I've been overqualified to sell something on this for a long time. So what I do, I went digital download templates like the YouTube starter kit. Now we have the brand deal starter kit. We're going to do the live stream starter kit soon. Like, I'm just getting ready to sell courses. I waited like 7 years after I had a play button, 10 years after I've been consistent on YouTube before I even wanted to sell courses about it. Like, that's, you don't need to cash in early. I'm not saying you have to wait as long as I did. I'm just saying that the thing that I think could help you better position for brand deals if you're a smaller YouTuber anyway is the affiliate link stuff, maybe selling a product or selling merchandise. I think that the revenue for that could get better faster than what a brand's going to offer you. And then when the brand wants to do something with you, you have more leverage to ask for a better price because you have something to show besides, oh, I have this limited reach. If you have to sell on reach when you're small, you can't sell it for very much. But if you can prove you have a reputation and you can prove that you generate and drive revenue, well, now you have reach, reputation, and revenue, and you can prove it, right? And that's going to help you to cultivate a stronger relationship because now you're coming from a position of strength instead of looking desperate. You have something that you can prove. You can demonstrate your value objectively, and that I think makes a difference. So I know that's a long-winded version of answering that question, but there you go. Sewing report, how you doing? It says, I don't accept many free products, but I will not accept anything from an Amazon only storefront. That's actually a really good idea. In many cases, that's actually a really good idea in terms of just making sure that a company is legit. Yeah. Zane says, you don't know, and it can become hard to believe unless it happens to you. AdSense is around 10% of my revenue in my case, and I'm in a high CPM niche also. Yeah, I'm in a high CPM niche. AdSense is about 10% of my income too. And the thing is, AdSense, like, a lot of people are like, oh, isn't AdSense enough for you? This, that, next, the other. AdSense can be nice, but those like people who think, oh, well, isn't AdSense enough? They probably aren't. People who think that usually aren't making AdSense, because if they did, they would understand how much anxiety AdSense is in the YouTube partner program is. And I'll tell you this. One of the things that a lot of people do not understand about being a content creator is how how much stress the money side of it can be, because the goalpost keeps getting moved, especially lately. Now, again, I'm not going to make this hyper political, but like they are making and changing rules in real time all the time. Now, people can't do this. They can't talk about this. They can't talk about that. There's, things where people are being censored. There's encouragement to self-censor yourself. They're doing more things that could remove you from the partner programs. There's a lot of things recently. Again, this new policy, you basically can't curse initially. You basically cannot curse in your videos. And this is going to retroactively affect videos you already done too. So now money from videos you already made that you were still earning money off of, that money is going to maybe go down because of this policy and stuff like that. And then you're going to be like, okay, well, if I can't do this or I can't do that, then my audience is going to feel some type of way about it. So now, because of the self-censorship that then gets encouraged, you're like, yeah, okay, the money's going to fluctuate on that too. So again, I like people who are like, is ad revenue not enough? I don't think that they're that educated about ad revenue if they're thinking that, because I really don't know. Like if somebody were like making ad revenue, I don't think that they would hold that opinion, if you get what I mean. Because I think it's really easy to say that if you don't have any experience with it. And so what I believe is, like I said, have a monetization mix. Sell your own product. For sure, sell your own product. It's a revenue stream you're actually in control of. It's the thing to capitalize on your reputation and relationships and reach the most in order to drive revenue is sell your own product. You guys want to live stream in a couple of weeks or next week or the week after on making and selling your own products? We could do that. We can do a workshop on selling your own product, because like some of y'all, you need to sell your own product. If you sell your own product, you're in control. It's your email list. It's your customer. An advertiser doesn't get to tell you what to do. The brands don't get to tell you what to do. You sell your own product. You have your own platform. To some extent, YouTube doesn't get to tell you what to do. That actually does matter if you care about keeping your creative control as a content creator and being full-time. At some point, you do want to sell your own product. The other thing is, selling your own product can give you leverage working with a brand. I'll give you a primary example. Because I sell my own products, when I go to a brand, I'm like, I can promote you or I can promote me. That helps in the negotiation, because it's harder to lowball me, because it's like, well, if he promotes himself, he'll make this amount of money if like 10 people buy from him. If 10 people buy from him, he'll make the same amount of money that we're offering. So guess what? So what's the incentive? What's the incentive for promoting a brand versus promoting myself? If the opportunity to promote myself is X, the brand can't offer less than that. You see what I'm saying? Or I can pressure them on that if they're not aware of it. So there's leverage. You see? So selling your own product, that's one form of leverage. The affiliate marketing, affiliate links, that's another form of leverage, because you can prove sales, because then you can prove performance. So you can prove the buying power of your audience, the commitment for your brand. So there's that aspect of it. Roger Wakefield in the house. What's up, my friend? Good to see you there. So yeah, so there's a lot of ways to put yourself in a stronger position for the brand leverage that also makes you more money at the same time. Here's something else a lot of you do not know about working with brands. It's not just about your public far-reaching numbers. If you have a 30,000 subscriber email list, that's worth $3,000 to $5,000 for a brand. If you have a 30,000 subscriber email list, it's worth $3,000 to $5,000 for a brand to directly have access to be promoted with an advertorial in that email list. If y'all were getting $5,000 a month for your email list, then that's worth it in terms of, oh, I have sponsored content in my email newsletter. $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year for having a newsletter. for having 25, 20, 30,000 people in a newsletter, 20, 30,000 people in a newsletter, because of direct reach and no algorithm with the right advertorial package, $5,000 from a brand, $3,000 to $5,000 from a brand. That's $36,000 to $60,000 a year. That's the average to median income in America for a full-time job for a bloody newsletter. And y'all don't know that. Which is why I'm making a course. Because there's these things that y'all don't know about in terms of the leverage with a brand. Because the reason that an email list is so valuable is because the brand is like, that's a direct sales channel that is not controlled by an algorithm. And those are individual, real human beings. And it's no longer theoretical reach. And so that is lucrative to them because it's direct advertising. It's direct marketing. It's a direct sales channel. So that's what's powerful. Now, the broad theoretical reach of a mention in a video is not as valuable, believe it or not, as the direct access reach from a newsletter campaign. Most content creators, that goes over their heads. And then they're like, what do I need a newsletter for? Well, it's another brand sponsorship channel y'all are missing out on. So that'll explain it from now on in those terms. Then the other thing is, if you have an email newsletter, aside from Amazon affiliate links, because that's not TOS, you can't do that. But if you have direct manufacturer affiliate links or software affiliate links, and there's 30-day cookies for that stuff too, boom, that's more money. The affiliate links. So now you have direct access every week to be affiliate links without being scummy, and as long as you're disclosing it, and it's fine. And your audience likes roundups. So, oh, here's a resource roundup. Here's a top 10 list. Here's a top 5 list. That's convenient. It's content. So, boom, another value of the newsletter. How to monetize your news. Oh, that's a good YouTube video. How to monetize your newsletter. Okay, watch this. Your newsletter. You can use your newsletter to either build your own membership in terms of your own website and have your own membership and get people recruited to that, or remind them about the exclusive content that is for your members only community on YouTube or Twitch or whatever. Boom. Then, of course, you can use the newsletter to sell your own products and services. So you can sell your own products and services. Boom. You put automations in that create an automated email sales funnel for you for affiliates and selling your own stuff. Boom. Or recruiting to your membership. Boom. More money. If you have something like ConvertKit, your email list could have a tip jar. You could literally be getting the same thing as Super Chats, except you're not splitting 30% of it with YouTube because there's a tip jar built into your newsletter. Boom. You see, it's all these things people don't think of. But the sponsorship, you can get sponsorship with the newsletter. You can get affiliate marketing with the newsletter. You can get your membership up with the newsletter. You can sell your own service. You can sell your own product. You can get donations. You get everything with the newsletter except for one thing, ad revenue. Ad revenue is the only thing. But here's the beauty of it. You're not splitting the money with the platform. See, the obsession with AdSense is like, oh, you're splitting the money with the platform, though. Like, you could keep all the money. So this opportunity is wildly overlooked in terms of sponsorship and affiliate with newsletters, and then selling directly your own products. And again, what was the leverage of selling your own products? What was the leverage of the affiliate link? Better negotiating brand deals. So the thing is, if I reverse engineer the creator's obsession with the brand deal side, with, so many people are brand deals. If I show you that there's ways to qualify for better brand deals, and it's called things that will pay you anyway that are not AdSense, it starts to click. And you start to realize, oh, the other good news here is now I'm not beholden to the brands. I'm not subservient to the brands. I'm not handcuffed to the brands and just an employee doing the bidding of these advertisers. If I make my money directly with the support of my audience in some other way, and it's not ads. Because remember, with AdSense, beholden to the advertisers. Brand deals, beholden to the advertisers. Affiliate links, to some extent, beholden to the advertisers. So your leverage is, okay, now this is 3 of your revenue streams that are beholden to the advertisers. So maybe we also need to look at memberships. Maybe we need to look at selling our own product or service, and also encouraging direct donations from our audience. So maybe then our audience has some level of, the financial relationship with us to where, oh, I don't know, we keep serving the audience first instead of serving the advertisers first. Maybe part of the answer is, oh, I don't know, actually sell things your audience wants to buy. So like it's just about really thinking these things through. And I understand that most people most people just don't consider this. Leela, your 5 to 7 years your 5 to 7 years started when you got your silver play button. Your 5 to 7 years started when you got your silver play button. Now, for everybody, that's not the case, but pretty close. So yeah. Because I would say like 5 to 7 years depends on like the moment you become quote unquote relevant. Some people I think are relevant depending on your niche. Depending on your niche, you might be relevant at 50,000 subscribers. So, but silver play button is the easiest way to demark some level of relevancy that is acknowledged. So just putting that out. Tim Simpson, thank you for the 20 bucks super chat. He says, hey, gents, I've done a heap of videos for gear that work well for me. Recently, I've been approached by a brand who I've verified who have asked how much dollars to put a 60-second plug in a video. I don't know how to calculate that value. Okay. So the thing is, in general, most people don't know how to price their value, and then they go to calculators. Okay. And calculators are largely a mistake. I'm going to show you my old media kit. This is from when I hit 400,000. You do not have to price accordingly to this. The reason I share this, and it's outdated by a couple of years, but what I used to charge for like certain things is like I could mention a brand in a video with a non-exclusive, which means that they might be mentioned alongside another brand or another sponsor or another competitor, right? So the exclusive thing is not working with the competitors, not mentioning your competitors. Non-exclusive, I can mention other competitors even in the same video, and I can work with other competitors. So obviously people pay more for that and they want exclusives. And then that gets into, instead of paying like $1,200, they start paying like, $2,500, $3,000, $5,000. And then just, it's a conversation. Right. And most of the deals I do now, even if it's mentioning a brand, just to mention a brand, a lot of times it'll be like no less than between like, 3,000, 6,000. If we want to do a full campaign and package, and then I pitch them on something, we do like, something in $10,000, $20,000 range, depending on what they want, what the requirements are. It's all negotiation. Sometimes they come to me and they have a bigger number than that, and they have specifics that they want. But a lot of times, what are those specifics and those bigger numbers come with like 90 days of exclusivity, because exclusivity is it exclusivity on this video? Is it exclusivity for 30 days across all of my platforms for 30 days? Is it across these platforms? Is it 60 days? Is it 90 days? Remember, none of these are flat rates. And that's the other problem a lot of you have. You're looking for, give me a magic formula where I can plug in my follower count, subscriber count, my view count average, and then charge this much money for a brand. And I'm here to tell you, there is no magic formula. There's no goddamn magic formula for how much money do you charge. You have to have a methodology for your pricing that is specific to you and you alone. You have to have your own pricing sheets, and you have to have your own pricing model, and it has to be exclusive to you. But you also have to understand that it's not a calculator, it's sliding scales, that when the goalpost is moved on requirements, because remember, what I just told you is the price changes. And this is 3 years ago, by the way. This is 3 years ago, but my starting line price changes the minute something in the contract moves the needle, because it's like, oh, you need exclusivity not just on this one video. You need exclusivity for across my brand. Okay, price goes up. You need exclusivity for 30 days. Here's the price for 30 days. Oh, you need it for 60 days. Here's the price. Oh, you need it for 90 days. Here's the price. Oh, we're doing a year-long contract with multiple videos over the course of a year, and you need me to not work with your competitor for an entire year. Well, here's that price. And it's not cheap. Oh, I'm not going to work with your competitor for a whole year. Yeah, that'll be $80,000, please. Yeah, that'll be $50,000, please. Oh, here's the deliverables. Here's how much. Oh, we're doing 9 pieces of content on my channel. We're doing 9 pieces of content on your channel. Oh, I'm not working with your competitors for a year. Oh, you want to use me in some advertising and license my face and likeness and reputation for a year? Okay, that'll be $60,000, please. Oh, that'll be $100,000, please. Like you have to understand that what your deliverables look like, what the licensing agreement looks like for using your likeness and advertising on their platforms, whether you're making content on your platform, their platform, exclusivity, a lost opportunity, and potential to earn revenue by working with somebody else. You have to, like, how many competitors? Oh, it's this many competitors. That'll be this much, please. Oh, it's this many competitors. Oh, my price went up. Thank you. You have to understand that boundaries, requirements, deliverables change the price. So there's sliding scales to your boundaries in terms of how much they're infringing on your life and on your business and on your other relationships. There's sliding scales for how much reputational risk you are taking by doing this deal. And there's sliding scales. Some of those are predicated on the number of deliverables. Some of it is the terms and conditions. Some of it is the amount of time. Some of it is the exclusivity. Because then it's a different relationship. An exclusive relationship is very different than a non-exclusive relationship. Guess which one of those two relationships is more valuable? What do you think is more valuable? An exclusive relationship where it's just you and them, or a relationship that's non-exclusive, open-ended, where you can work with their competitors? Which one do you think they pay more for? Which one do you think you should charge more for? And you shouldn't give them the same things for a lack of commitment on their part, and you shouldn't be required to do less when you're not committed either. See what I'm saying? It's like, so you have to understand how to balance these scales. So there's no formula you can derive for, oh, I'm going to charge this much. There's not a formula. There's a framework. Here is the commitment in terms of the relationship, exclusive versus non-exclusive, and for how long, and how long have I worked with you in the past. So relationship changes price. Here's where my reputation is now. Here's what your reputation is as a company. Okay, here's price. Okay, here's what my reach is today. Here's what my theoretical growth and reach is. There's a price point to that. Oh, here are the results I produced and my proof of driving revenue. And here's the revenue potential loss for me if I take your deal and I have to be exclusive with you. Okay, well, that changes the price as well. So you have to understand reputation, relationship, revenue, and reach are all factors. And y'all are only charging on reach. Y'all are only charging on reach. You're not charging with reputational risk and damage in mind. You're not charging based on length of relationship. You're not charging based on proof of revenue. You're only charging on reach. So I'm not shocked that some of you are charging 4 times less than what you should be charging, because you're only weighing one variable out of 4 variables you could be looking at. Boom. Mind blown, right? Mind blown. It should be blowing your mind. Should be blowing your mind. Now, here's the thing. Some of you, the issue is you've just never been introduced to this information. That's why I do a lot of these deep dive videos. Some of you don't have the experience in understanding how contracts are negotiated because you haven't signed one yet, or it was a very simple rudimentary one. So there's that aspect of it. And then a lot of you also are not considering concepts like opportunity cost of, oh crap, I said yes to this thing because I was really excited. And you are not anticipating, maybe from a confidence standpoint, you're not anticipating that there are better deals out there, and that saying yes to this means saying no to that. And saying yes to this and saying no to that. I mean, there's a brand that came to me with a $100,000 offer, and I had to say no because I was already in a contract. I was already in a $50,000 contract. I'm not even making this up. So there was a company that came to me that was a competitor of one of my sponsors, And they came to me offering $100,000, real offer. And I turned them down because I'm like, I work with your competitor. I'm not going to break faith with them. I'm not going to switch things up on my audience. And I like your competitor. I like what you're doing. I respect what you're doing. You're a great company, but they came to me first. I have this relationship. I respect my relationship. I'm not going to leave this company and just switch over to you, but just because you offered me twice as much money. See, because what's the price of a good reputation? What's the price of being loyal? What's the price of loyalty? Well, the price of loyalty with me was a negative net, 50 grand, a negative net 50 grand. But you have to go into it with your eyes open and realize that that's something that could happen. You have to realize that that's something that could happen. There's another company that came to me and offered me a $60,000 contract, $5,000 a month, $60,000 contract. I looked into that company and I said, I don't want to work with you. And it's no hard feelings. I just don't want to work with you. Later, that company, their reputation went bad. So what was the opportunity cost there? I lost money and retained my respect and retained my reputation and didn't have to go on any apology tours. You see? So you have to understand what it is you're dealing with. And in the framework of your content creator career, one of the frameworks that I teach people when people coach with me, when people work with me, when people are going to be in the future, we'll put these frameworks into courses when I make courses. Reach, relationships, reputation, revenue. Okay. These are 4 principles. You put these into a quadrant and you understand that what you're doing whenever you do something needs to balance and understand what you stand to gain and lose in terms of those 4 things. When you negotiate, keep those 4 things in mind. When you make content, keep those 4 things in mind. When you are building your strategy, keep those 4 things in mind. When you're doing collaborations, keep those 4 things in mind. Now, there are other of these frameworks and such, but that's like a really good one. That's a really good one to say, okay, what do I stand to gain or lose when it comes to that? Let's see here. Oh man, I'm really behind on these super chats. Yeah, Leela, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Like taxes. Oh yeah, taxes video coming soon, y'all. YouTube taxes video, or my annual YouTube taxes video is coming out. Oh my god, it's so painful. It is. People don't be knowing until they get hit with that self-employment tax. Yes, selling report. It is crazy how many Etsy sellers. I have freelancers, content creators. Every year, there's people that become freelancers and content creators, and then they DM me and they're like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize that I have to pay this much in taxes. What the hell, man?" It's like, and their thought process and how they think about taxes, they code switch and they change up real quick the minute they get hit with that bill for the first time. But during the pandemic, there were so many freelancers, so many gig workers, so many people that for the first time in their life, they were paying taxes instead of getting a refund. They're paying taxes instead of getting a refund. And I got DMs and people were mad. People were livid. People were like, "Oh, screw the IRS. And I can't believe this." They're like, "Why didn't nobody warn me? Why didn't nobody tell me?" I'm like, "Dude, you watch my videos? I've been talking about this forever." It's like, you watch my videos, you be prepared. Like, oh yeah. It's like, this is why we complain. And this is why we take on brand deals. And this is why we have different revenue streams. I have I tell y'all, my AdSense revenue is dedicated to my tax bill. My AdSense revenue, I don't see it. It goes to the IRS. It's like, yeah, the YouTube ad revenue directly goes to the IRS, y'all. So like, don't be feeling the AdSense too much, at least not from my side. It's like, I get a good CPM, but the IRS, they get to have all of it. So is it like, it's like, it's so for me, what I do is a lot of my brand deals cover the expense of my business. I would say that my brand deals cover all the investment back into the things that I'm doing to make stuff better. In fact, it also is funding a large portion, I would say, of the giveaways that we're going to do for 600,000 subscribers. When that happens, we're at 574 now, I think. So, 25K to go or whatever. And then we'll do another giveaway at 700,000. The goal for this year is, it's a big goal. It's a stretch goal. 700,000 subscribers this year. It's the biggest stretch goal we've ever done in a year. But I'm going to also be making more content. I'm going to be trying to not miss a week this year in 2023. So we're going to be doing that. One of the things we're giving away, like I said, if you guys missed it earlier, is one of the first giveaways is 600,000 subscribers. We're giving away a vlogging kit that includes this Sony camera that I kind of unboxed for you live earlier to show that it's real. It's a real camera in there. So we've got that. We're giving away some microphones, some lighting kits when the channel hits 600,000 subscribers. Anybody who is subscribed, even if you have been an old school subscriber, is eligible. There's a different giveaway for channel members if you become a channel member. I'll be announcing that soon. Maybe in about, I'll be announcing that when we get closer to 600K. I'll be announcing it. Probably like in another week or two, I'll be announcing it. But, obviously the more people support, the more people that support the channel, the better. If we can start going to 10,000 subscribers a month, that means you guys get more giveaways, because we hit milestones faster that way. So James Apple asks, Roberto, is your brand deal course and YouTube course dropping on your website or Skillshare or Masterclass? It's going to be on my website. My website is where the brand deal secrets course will be, and the YouTube growth course when I get it going. It's probably going to be called the YouTube crash course. And so we'll be doing that. And they'll be like under $500, I think. They'll be like 500 or less. They'll be 500 or less. The brand deals one, it makes sense because you will literally make your money back on a brand deal. And the YouTube growth one, I really am mostly making that if you're actually monetized. So you should be able to make your money back by growing your channel and also by saving time and saving money and being more efficient. So that's how, that's how I would do it. And that's the plan. Like what Switch Corner here says, you have to earn the right to put out a sponsored video. Your audience needs to trust you. And the smaller you are, the more likely to see you as just taking the cash. Trust and audience growth first. Yeah, I agree with that. I largely agree with that. I won't say what that number has to look like, but I largely agree with that. I just think that as a goal, most of you as a goal, 10,000 subscribers should be a really good goal besides getting monetized. And I think that anything you distract yourself with hinders that goal. Totally Toasty says, I do anime skits and I get anywhere from 2 to 40K views with 24,000 subs. I want to go full time. Should I post more or do Patreon merch for full time? All right, for full time, and you're in the anime niche, you are at 24,000 subs. You can get brand deals, and that probably helps you. And you probably don't need that much more money to go full time. I would say that for you, you're going to probably need to do. You're probably going to need to do merchandise, but it cannot be your logo or your face. And it probably cannot be copyrighted material. So you're going to have to figure out memes that you can make merch into. You're going to have to make memes. Like, I'll give you a prime example. In anime, CJ the Champ is an anime reviewer, reaction, comedy, skit channel. CJ the Champ has come up with like this whole internal universe and meme he's made around Black Air Force energy, and about people being absolute savages and monsters as anime characters, right? So the thing is, CJ the Champ's audience would buy like Black Air Force energy merchandise. They absolutely would. Like, so there's an internal meme culture that exist in communities, especially things like the anime community, that you could tap into without violating copyrights. And you could do that in different styles. It could be done in kanji. It could be done like, there are people who would literally wear a sweatshirt that has a big old kanji on it for something that they think is clever or fun. There are people who straight up will wear a hat with a kanji symbol on it, as long as it means something to them. You see what I'm saying? So there's like, people do not approach merch correctly. They make it about themselves or their logo or something instead of the identity, the group identity of the audience. If you make stuff that's about the group identity audience, it sells better. So merchandise is a good one. Patreon is a good one. It's going to theoretically work better than channel memberships in some cases. And then doing brand deals. You're at 24K subs. You can do brand deals. You can get like $1,000 per brand deal. Get a recurring sponsor. Take on 2 or 3 recurring sponsors at $1,000, $1,500. You have 2 recurring sponsors. Great. You have 2 contracts. You take a 12K contract. You take a 16K contract. So what's that? That's $28,000. Between $28,000 a year as the baseline for your channel if you have 2 contracts. Same thing as basically an employment contract. And then using that year to also get your merchandise up and get more of that. Get your channel ad revenue up. Do more of that. Maybe do live streams, get super chats up, do stuff like that, get memberships up. Well, in that situation, you should be able to go full time as long as you're doing that work. And maybe it's not in a year, maybe it's in 2 years, but you have a trajectory of meeting the requirements to go full time. This is why eventually I think the course that I will make that will do the best will probably be, I think for obvious reasons, the YouTube growth course will do good. I think the brand deals course, which is the first one I want to launch, will do really good for a lot of you here. I think everybody watching here probably will want to buy the brand deals course, which in which case, if you do, then it's done well. If 100 people buy the brand deals course, I'm happy. If 500 buy, I'm very happy. But if 100 people buy, I'm happy. I'd like 1,000 people to buy it, just like the YouTube starter kit. But yeah, so if somewhere between 100 and 1,000 people buy it, I'm happy. The course that I think will probably, in the end, be the best product I make will be the full-time content creator course. I think the course for being a full-time content creator, I'm really breaking that down. I think that course is the course that will be the most useful in the sense that it will give a better framework and guidance for how to truly monetize correctly. Because I think the biggest problem is the lack of a monetization mix. Also a lack of having a fundamental idea of what are the requirements financially? What are my financial requirements to be a full-time content creator? And how do I identify those financial requirements? How do I now build systems that are sustainable and offer stability to accomplish and to do that? And what are those goals and what do those numbers look like? What do those numbers look like? A primary example. Okay, how many Patreon supporters do I need? It's mathematics. It's mathematics of I need this many Patreon supporters to fill out this amount. And then and that's one revenue stream. And if I have 3 to 4 revenue streams that are sustainable, then I know that I have a lot that has to be disruptive to hurt me if I'm a full-time creator. Oh, I make this much from affiliate links. I make this much from sponsorships. I make this much from this. I make this much from that, and so on and so forth. Also, the expansion strategy of you realize that the more pillars you add to something, the more stable it's going to be to keep that thing up. Think about it. If you only have one pillar, even if as wide as a pillar is, it's a singular target to where it's if I knock out that column, here comes the thing tumbling down. Okay. You have something on 2 columns, no matter how wide they are. If I knock out those 2 columns, it's a lot harder and it takes a lot more energy and effort to disrupt 3 columns, let alone 4. So again, part of my foundation for someone becoming a full-time content creator is 3 very strong revenue streams and widening them enough and making them very difficult to disrupt. So when you have 3 consistent revenue streams that do very well, that probably do, let's say, 2,000 to 3,000 a piece. That's very hard to disrupt. That's a really good foundation to say I have a stable income when you have more than 3 revenue streams that each make 2,000 to 3,000 consistently, and that's their range, so to speak, and that you've ensured that they're hard to disrupt. But I think that you need a revenue stream that consistently pays recurring guaranteed income in some way, whether it's active or passive. So that could be a contract you have to fulfill, or it could be passive income through recurring affiliate commissions that are in perpetuity. In perpetuity, the keyword. If that can pay your living expenses, that's a really good pillar for your income. Then if there's another income stream that you could use to finance. So here's my thing. All right, having an income stream that can finance for sure your cost of living and your bills. Having a cost of living that can finance the business. having a stream of income that can pay off the taxes, having a stream of income that allows you to move on other opportunities. So I like when people have like 4 really good solid streams of income, if not more, because when you know, okay, this pays my bills and it's not being disrupted. This pays my taxes and it's not being disrupted. This covers my business expenses. This covers my ability to invest further and expand and to grow and not just maintaining what I have. So you need 3 to maintain and 4 to grow. And then from there, it goes on. Because again, you have to cover your living. You have to cover your expenses as a creator and a business owner, and you have to cover your taxes. You have to at least do those 3 things. You have to be able to live, pay taxes, and you have to fund the business venture. So where's the money left over after you do that to grow? Oh, maybe I need a 4th revenue stream. So now I have something I can purely say, okay, this is growth. This is how I've sustained. Here's how I gain. Here's how I grow. So it's 3 revenue streams and income streams that are stable enough. And then if you really want to grow, you got to need like a 4th, to really just like pour the gasoline on. It's just math. It's just math. It's just numbers. So, hi there. Wilda says, hi there. Experts in the creative field talk about a right way and a whole wrong way to do certain things. If you had to outline in terms of phrases, what one focus would you have for the first years, the first or the second? Neither. I would focus on figuring out what is the sustainable way to do things. See there? What is the sustainable way to do things? What is the way that allows me to do things functionally, consistently, and maintain them appropriately at a level of what my acceptable thresholds for quality are, and be consistent about my acceptable threshold for quality? What allows me to operate in a way that allows me to sustainably and consistently operate within my values? What is sustainable and consistent for my health? So what is sustainable and consistent for the income that I require? So I would look at what is the sustainable way to do things, because like what you can do sustainably is correct. What is unsustainable is largely incorrect at a point that it creates a crisis. Crises are created when you are overwhelmed by things that you cannot maintain. Lifestyle creep is one of those things. So like, oh, what's the correct way to handle your money? It's like not to create lifestyle inflation, lifestyle creep that then creates stress. That's one aspect of it. What is like something not sustainable? Taking large risk, taking reputational risk is not sustainable. So like playing with fire in that regard, being too controversial, flying too close to the sun. So yeah, I went in the first year. I'm not worried about right or wrong. First year, I'm worried about what can I sustain? What can I sustain? What is the healthy way to do things? What is the realistic way to do things? What is the realistic way to do things? Annie Renee says, I wasn't as excited as I thought I was going to be once I got monetized. It actually made me feel like I'm not doing enough. It can get there because when you realize, oh, wow, this is how much it pays for this amount of effort and work and stuff like that. It sobers you up. It sobers you up. Yeah, I like this. She's in her apron. Yeah, basically, you can be your own brand deal. If you think about it, you can be your own brand deal. And I kind of like that. Yeah, so report says, I've never been offered more than 600 in actual compensation. I'm close to 100K subs. They also want crazy levels of control. Not hard to turn down. Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I'm going to be doing between things like the brand deal starter kit, which is like $99. It's linked in the description. And one of the things I'm going to be doing with when I do the brand deals course is I'm going to explain and outline how to negotiate with these brands very, very carefully and what is and isn't acceptable. Because I think a lot of you do look for guidance on, oh, at this level, how much should I charge? At this level, how much? And the thing is, it's like that's somewhat important, but what's really important is measuring things like opportunity cost and like literally auditing your own labor, and whether if this was not your channel, regardless of what your channel size is, how much would you charge to do this work for the brands that you could be working with, for the brands, if you were doing it on their channels, which is another opportunity, by the way. Another opportunity is like, I will do this much content on your channel in a year for this much money. Like right now, a brand could come to me and say, Roberto, we need you to do videos twice a month on our channel. So we need 24 videos from you on our channel. Or let's do something more reasonable. Hey, Roberto, we want to do a 10 video series. We want to do a 10 video mini series on our channel, Roberto, using you. And you have to produce these videos and edit these videos, or hey, we'll fly you out, but you're gonna have to take time off from your own content for us to fly you out and record these 10 videos for us. And you're gonna have to do that. We'll fly you out. We'll handle the editing. We'll do everything. But you gotta like, you know what I would charge for that? I would charge somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 for that. I would do like a 10 or 12 video series for their channel. I'd be licensing them the ability to use my face, likeness, and reputation in their ads for like a year. I would film a couple of ad reads for them that they can use and testimonials they could use, and they can use and license that for me for a year with a renewal option on the ad reads and licensing. Okay. I'd be signing a contract for a year where I don't work with their competitor in that specific niche and field for a year. And I'd probably negotiate some shout out sponsorship on my other social media platforms, advocate for them that there's deliverables around that. It's like, yeah, I'd probably charge them $120,000 minimum for something like that, somewhere between $120,000, $150,000, $160,000 for that. And that has nothing to do with how big my channel is or how big my audience is or how many views I'm getting for them. It is that I'm literally devoting 10 filming sessions away from myself, opportunity cost away from myself, away from my content, away from other sponsorships I can do. So that's already a cost. I'm not working with other competitors of theirs. So now, even if I value that at $5,000 a video, it's $5,000 a video dedicated to do that work for them. It's now licensing my reputation and name every month for a year. So what's the fees on that? So like, oh, just using my reputation and using for a year, like, hey, that's going to be another like, 20-25 grand, my guy. That's gotta be something. It's gonna be worth like your license. I'm doing ad reads for you. You're licensing my face and my reputation for like a year. Okay, that's another $2,000 a month. Thank you. All right, so now we're up to like $7,000 a month. Okay, what's $7,000 a month? $7,000 a month is like 84 grand there. I was like, okay, great. Oh, I'm not working with competitors. Well, wait. My rate changes. It's not 5,000 per thing now. I'm not working with your competitors. I'm gonna need some more. So now we're like, oh, okay. Well, what's that? It's like, well, now we're up to like, 10 grand because I'm not working with anybody else in your entire niche. I'm losing money. I could, if I got non-exclusive and even we cut the rates, I could be making 120,000 because I could have 3 people paying me like $4,000. I have 3 people paying me $4,000 if there's no non-compete or whatever, or if it's a very limited non-compete, whatever, like, so I could have 3. So it's like, so I could be making 12 a month. So I could be making $144,000 a year. Yeah. So guess what? Okay. So now I have to charge that. Because now we're talking about opportunity costs. We're talking about turning down money. We're talking about committing time. We're talking about using my reputation. We're talking about me showing up and being on your set for however many amount of time it is to film these 10 videos. And if it's not, it's me filming them, editing them, you revising them, you approving them, me doing meetings with you every month. I'm going to have to meet with you guys 2 or 3 times a month. That's time that I'm not doing something else. That's those hours. If I sell those hours to coaching clients, I like, oh, that's a $700 call for the meeting that I take with you is a $700 call. So just working with the brand, every time I meet with them, I'm out hundreds of dollars. So you see what I mean? Opportunity cost and leverage. So then so just even without your own reach, just going and working for somebody and saying, okay, I'm doing this. You're using my face and likeness to sell your thing. And you're using the trust that I've built on my reputation to do that. I don't have the creative control. You do. You can charge a lot of money for that sort of thing. You can charge a lot of money, and it's justified to do it. Because again, look at everything you risk and look at everything you turn down. And it's a year of your life that you're making a commitment. You're making a year-long commitment in that case. That's worth some money. That's worth some money. So just understand what we're talking about. This might sound extravagant or extreme or like ridiculous or outlandish, but it's really not when we're talking about your name. When we're talking about your name and what your word is worth, you see. And we're talking about exclusivity in a relationship. You got to bring something to the table if you want exclusivity. Because that means you can't, like, if that's a contract, you can't, if you're offered a better deal, you have to walk away from a better deal because you're contractually bound to the deal that you agreed with. Or if your own value increases, you go viral, you're locked in that deal. So there is an opportunity cost. There's an opportunity cost, and there's reputational risk. So you have to price the relationship with reputational risk and with opportunity cost in mind. Not just reach. Y'all are way too obsessed with reach. Way too obsessed with reach. And this is the kind of thing that's like, is very, like, you realize just explaining these concepts is not a 5-minute video. That's the other problem with teaching. The other problem with teaching is it's like, it's not really practical to try to teach something in 60 seconds or 5 minutes to cater to people that have the attention span sometimes of a chicken sandwich. It's like long form doesn't get the views, though. Long form doesn't get the views. So the most helpful thing is a consolidated resource of some kind, in my opinion, because I just don't think functionally, sometimes you cannot learn any other way but through a long-term investment of time and learning frameworks and foundations, because it's not an easy answer. It's not an easy answer. And yes, just because you get a brand deal doesn't mean you have to take it. Right. It's like, it's very hard to determine certain red flags and certain boundaries to set. Some of it you will only learn through experience. But here's the good news. When you learn from someone else, you don't have to rely on your own experience. You can use the experience of someone else or a group of people, and that could be really powerful. It actually leads to this other thing. So Annie Renee asks, what about memberships? Mine got unlocked, but I'm not using it because I don't want to let people down. If I have nothing special for them, should you wait and keep a focus on growing before offering it? You don't have to do it right away, especially if you don't have time. If you don't have time, I am going to be doing some exclusive videos for my members every month. So sometimes that's early access to some of these interviews that I haven't edited, so they get the unedited version of interviews early. Other times it's exclusive content. I've been thinking of doing some videos where maybe I react to some things in social media that happen that I don't want to make a video about publicly per se, that are members only, where I just give a hot take on reacting to something. So there, you have to figure out what you're going to offer your members and then plan accordingly. Guys, I will be right back. I'm going to take a very quick break. In the meantime, actually, while I take a very quick break, you guys can actually watch this trailer for my book. If you have not bought my book already, Create Something Awesome, How Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy, then you definitely need to check it out. It's linked in the description below. It is an Amazon affiliate link. But in the meantime, you guys can check out the trailer for the book. I will be right back. I finally did it. I finished my book, Create Something Awesome, How Content Creators Are Profiting from Their Passion in the Creator Economy. The book is available now in paperback and in Kindle, where you can read it on any e-reader or device. And I'm really excited about this. The audiobook is coming soon, probably October 2022. Oh my God, it's so great to be able to have this book done put it up on the bookshelf, and to know that all of you who appreciate it, you want to hear what I have to say about the creator economy, becoming a full-time content creator, and what the experience and lifestyle of being a content creator actually is like. This is the book. I put 20 chapters in here of the most important things I think that content creators could be focusing on today. I talk about the mental health aspect of being a content creator, getting discouraged, imposter syndrome, not charging what you're worth, and mostly actionable advice around monetizing your content properly, but also how to build an audience on your authenticity and what it's really like to start from zero, even today. So if you're interested, make sure you're checking out the book. You can order it on Amazon. You also probably order it in a lot of other places like Barnes & Noble, and it will be coming to other bookstores soon. Really excited about it. Thank you for all the support and love around the book and the positive reviews. Now go ahead and pick it up and make sure you go out there and create something awesome today. Take care. All right, and I'm back. Managed to seamlessly take a little men's room break and get some lemonade. So yeah, I also want to show you guys something, because I think a lot of people do not understand how vetting works on the brand side and things they care about. So I want to show you this. This is probably the most popular tool used by the brands in the industry. So this is called, you guys do not have access to this, and it's not reasonable to buy or to afford on your part. This is called Hype Auditor. And so this can authentically determine a lot of things. You get a lot of information on a creator, their channel, and just not only their stats, because people are like, oh, I'll just go to Social Blade. It's like, no, this consolidates stats in a different way, and it's actually much more powerful. You can generate reports. You can look at their profiles across multiple channels, not just YouTube. You can look at TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all kinds of things. So it's a very powerful vetting mechanism, and it's used in the industry. And this access to this cost $300 a month. That's why you guys are not going to be able to get this and like make use of it. I'm going to be teaching on this as a kind of as a lesson, like as a teaching tool, because what is since you guys don't necessarily know about this, and why would you? Because you're not the agency, you're not the brand per se. If you're not the brand, then why would you have this tool, right? Now, I'm a researcher, so I have a lot of tools that many of you don't as content creators, because they're not as useful to content creators as they are to somebody doing what I'm doing as a consultant or a researcher or whatever. So what I have is I have Mr. Beast Gaming Channel. These stats won't be relatable, but the stats themselves are not important. I want you to see what brands are measuring. I want you to see what brands are measuring and how they're measuring. I don't want you to care about his numbers at all, which I know is very hard for a lot of you. I want you to understand the auditing process for a brand. So we have things like overview, audience, growth, engagement, value, and those valuations, again, those numbers are a grain of salt, because those value numbers are only based on reach. They are only based on reach. So you do a multiplier, because we don't charge on reach. Okay. It analyzes aspects of the content. It looks at similar accounts, brand mentions, etc. So when they look at your audience, they measure things like how, obviously the demographics in terms of things like gender and age, because they're basing their marketing and saying, well, our customers are mostly this, our customers are mostly that. So how much your audience aligns with the brand's customer makes a big deal. So United States, Mr. Beast, 18 to 24, male. There are several brands for whom that's a great idea. Okay. Oh, look, how much of the audience is in the United States? Well, if their marketing spend is in the United States, having majority of the audience be in the United States would matter. Having the majority of the audience speak English, that would matter to a brand. So that determines a lot for them. And so they'll look at these things. They'll look at the age ranges. They'll look at, okay, what the deal is and what percentage of the audience that is. And so that would matter to them. They'll look at your growth to see, okay, you have the current level of growth or reputation. Now, by the way, it defaults to 90 days, by the way. And they'll look at that to see, okay, are you on an upward trajectory, or have you had some reputational damage that's currently got you at a downward trajectory? So, okay, they look at that. Then they look at the audience, the growth, the engagement. They look at the engagement rates. So they look at the comment engagement rates. These things could be good. These could be, whatever. And they'll also look at video frequency. Video frequency is also about, well, how much inventory do you have? So if we want to buy a certain amount of ad slots, what percentage of your inventory is that? What percentage of your inventory do you sell? So they look at things like comment rates. And they look at the comment rates per 1,000 views. They'll look at how many people react at all with anything per 1,000 views. They look at the comment and like ratio per 1,000 views. And Mr. Beast, per 1,000 views on his gaming channel are average to good. His video frequency is low, and they consider low 1 video per week or less. Mine right now is also low, but it could get better. They look at the overall engagement rate. They've determined that this is pretty good. And why they determined that? They said similar channels receive 3.75 over the last 90 days. So he's above that. So looking good. Now, this integration price, I will tell you this. Take the biggest number there, multiply that by 3 or multiply that by 5. And I'm dead serious because, again, that's what I do. This price is only a theoretical price based on a lot of these things that are determined by reach. And like it says, please note that the actual price may vary. Hype Auditor shows an estimated price that our AI calculates based on market research. So again, that's an AI. And AI are not humans. Y'all are learning that. We're learning that in real time. The AI are not humans. Humans negotiate. Humans negotiate. This channel CPM seems high. My channel CPM is much higher. Gaming is a different niche. It's a lower CPM. Mr. Beast views and audience potential is there. It's good. It doesn't count his Instagram channel because it's not for Mr. Beast Gaming. There's some negativity, I guess, in the video or in the comments or something sometimes. So it doesn't get a perfect score on brand safety analysis, which is under content. It does very good in positive sentiment, in the fact that it analyzes the comments across the different posts. And the thing is, it's looking at ratios of positive versus negative versus neutral. So he's doing very well there. And then it looks at like the average views and engagement and things per individual video. It looks at other brands that have been mentioned. So it looks like it's possibly Kellogg's, Mr. Beast own brand, and Electronic Arts. It looks at similar channels like Jelly and just says, oh, if you want to get other influencers on your campaign. So there you go. You get an overview of like a lot of what these brands measure and how they measure it. Also looking at the score for the overview, in the score and the overview, it looks at his global ranking in his category. It also looks at, which is basically just how big he is. It looks at these different values of like the creator, the audience, the credibility, and the engagement. So when they measure this, they look at something like a creator's influence, which they look at the number of subscribers, the stability of the number of views and views to subscribers, and how frequently they post. So keep in mind, those are all things. They look at your stability. They look at your overall growth. They try to determine if you have a healthy channel, and they rate that basically on a scale of 1 to 5. Mr. Beast is a 5 out of 5 there. Audience quality uses the audience's age, gender distribution, and channel nativeness to the audience location. I think that if his audience was a little bit more United States, he'd be a 5 out of 5 instead of a 4 out of 5. Credibility checks the subscriber's authenticity, absence of drops in views, correlation of sudden spikes, number of views with subscriber growth. Engagement benchmarks against the number of engagement of other channels, as well as using a number of comments, reactions, views to comments, upvote views, and comment view ratios. So he could have a little bit more engagement, and but it's gaming, so it's actually very high for what it is. If those of you familiar with gaming, is in terms of comment sections. And also his audience is very youth centric, so there could be reasons for that. And then more of the audience being in the US, I think that he attracts a lot of non-US because gaming is more universal. Plus Mr. Beast is an internationally recognized celebrity, so he scores a little lower there, but his overall score is excellent and he gets a 100. But just think about it in these categories, 4 out of 5 in 2 of them, 5 out of 5 in 2 of the more important ones, I think. So all factors in. Average engagement rate per 30 videos, average engagement per individual video, average views per individual video, how recent your videos are, the average number of views in the first 30 days over the last 10 videos. So keep in mind, you'll be judged on 30 to 90-day performance, and often on your last 10 video uploads, not counting live streams usually, not counting live streams. So you'll be judged on some of that. You'll be judged on engagement metrics heavily, the minimum and maximum number of views over a 30 and 90-day period usually, and the average number of views a video gets in the first 30 days, as well as overall engagement it gets. Now, you can, in my thing, I can actually look this up for like different people and stuff like that. Again, I just use Mr. Beast because I don't think he'll care about that stuff being out there, especially since he's like, a 100 out of 100, and it's on his gaming channel, and I don't think people care. If I use mine, it doesn't. I wish it paired my Instagram with this because my Instagram is different. And in the brand deal stuff, I will talk about more than just YouTube. I'll talk a little bit about Instagram brand deals and brand deals for streaming, and also brand deals for newsletters as well. I, as you all know, disappeared in December, so I didn't upload in December pretty much at all during the holidays. So my numbers, take them with a grain of salt. We'll come back in like 30 to 90 days after I've been posting a lot heavily. But I have a 63 score, but I want you to see something. I'm a 5 out of 5 on creator, a 5 out of 5 on audience, a 4 out of 5 on credibility. And my only numbers hurting me are engagement. And that is because of my posting frequency. My posting frequency is what has negatively impacted those engagement numbers. And look at how heavily engagement is scored. And so I'm a 1 out of 5 on engagement currently, but I'm still considered good, because the thing is, to be considered good, I think you have to score above a 50. And that's because they base this on all the people in a similar size, I would say. So one of the things that I have in my favor is that 68% of my audience is from the United States. That's a big deal. 68% of my audience is from the United States, another 7% Canada, another 6% UK, which means that in terms of Western English-speaking countries, I am killing it. And that's also why my CPM is so bloody high. And when I say my CPM is so bloody high, I mean my CPM averages between $20 and $40, depending on the video. There are a couple of videos I can make that have a $15 CPM that gets me a little lower. So that makes a difference. Audience demographics. Age, in terms of age, I do not resonate with the young people at all. Most of Mr. Beast audience is the 18 and 24 crowd. I am like for people who are post college. So I score high in the older millennial category. I'm very weak with Gen Z, very much millennial, Gen X, and boomer. I have more boomers than zoomers. Clearly, I do better with boomers than zoomers. So I totally am a wash when it comes to Gen Z, but I'll be there when they grow up and sell out. Subscriber growth, again, when you take 1 to 2 months off, that takes a hit, but I'm in an upward trajectory. This dip here in 2017 was when there was a YouTube outage on data and everyone actually was going to negatives on subscribers. So you can kind of ignore that because that one's not like real. Everyone had this big problem with the YouTube glitch back then. I think people forget that, like, up until recently, every year YouTube has a massive data outage or the site goes down entirely, usually around like somewhere in the fall, somewhere like between August and October. That always happens. And there's always some kind of October data outage or glitch with YouTube. I don't think people remember that. That's been for years now, though. That's been like a long time. But as you can see, I have a long-standing positive upward growth trajectory in YouTube. These averages, again, I haven't posted really since all of December until recently, and I posted almost nothing in November. However, my comment rate is excellent. Mr. Beast comment rate was average to good. Mine's excellent. My reaction rate, heavy engagement. It's excellent. Like comment rate, excellent. So I do very well with those numbers. My video posting frequency is weak. It's weak. My goal is to get this to 2 to 3 videos a week, and then that will turn it into good. It probably won't be excellent unless I go daily, but it'll probably at least be good. And my minimum views, I took a hit for a tutorial I made. I made a green screen tutorial there. If I didn't, my numbers would improve in terms of my averages. Your averages are rated by the lowest number, which is why sometimes people don't like to do live streams. Sometimes people don't like to do YouTube shorts because it can mess with their averages. So whatever your normal type of content is, be aware that when you mix content, shorts, live streams, regular uploads, it messes with your averages theoretically in brand deals. But then that's where being a savvy negotiator and saying, well, here's the numbers if I exclude these things. So you might have to manually run numbers sometimes and then put them into your media kit. This is why a lot of people are like, why do I need to buy a media kit or build a media kit or pay for a media kit template? Why do I need to do those things when people can just pull my stats or I can just screenshot it from this tool or that tool? Because you cannot contextualize it for certain things like shorts versus lives versus regular uploads. You might need to manually do those things, and then you need a presentation where you can present that. So do keep those kind of things in mind, that the way you present data does matter. This here has to do with, remember what I said about I disappeared in December. If I'd kept up what I was doing in like earlier in the year, if I just maintained earlier in the year, this line is probably would be either going up or it'd be flat, but I'm still within the reach for excellent across similar channels in 90 days, even though I disappeared in December. Like I told you, you take the biggest number here and you either multiply it by 3 or multiply it by 5, and then that's a good number to charge. My CPM is extraordinarily high. You see that I could qualify. I can qualify for a $24 to $121 CPM, whereas when we were over on Mr. Beast Gaming, it was somewhere between, I think, 8 and 15. I think it was 8 to 15 when we were on Mr. Beast Gaming. So big difference in CPM rate there. Brand safety, I score 100 on brand safety. No toxic content, no alcohol, no pranks, no offensive content, no political content, no crime related. Negative sentiments are low, not religious content, not adult content. So I pass all brand safety check marks, all 9 factors of brand safety. I have positive sentiment, very little negative sentiment, heavy on neutral, would like to turn more neutral into positive, but say la vie. And so, yeah, overall, it did figure out that I posted a video 5 days ago. It doesn't realize I posted a video yesterday. And so here's the green screen tutorial. This is the video that underperformed. It was the green screen tutorial. And I also had a podcast tutorial that underperformed. But other than that, my videos tend to do pretty well overall compared to, my niche. It has some brand mentions. It didn't get all of them. And then there's similar channels. So you've even seen what my stuff looks like, not just like, oh, here's Mr. Beast. Here's somebody who's so big that it may not be relatable or whatever. And you can see that it's like, it's not always about being big. It's about contextualizing the data. And it's about how the brands perceive alignment, how they perceive ROI, how they perceive reputation, how they measure reputation. So now you have a better understanding of how they kind of perceive this stuff. Now, to have access to this information and for me to be able to reverse engineer this information, for me to be able to even share this with you, again, this is an app I pay $300 a month for. Yeah, I pay $300 a month for this app. So that's part of how, this information, a lot of creators don't understand it. like, hey, here's how brands see you. Creators have assumptions about how brands see you, but when you have a tool that says literally this is how brands see you and you can look at it through their lens, that's different. And so that's helped me understand a lot of the things that I talk about in a different way. Not to mention, I work with and have good relationships with people who, have agency backgrounds. And you have to remember, I also, before influencer marketing, I worked in marketing and advertising, which means I understand the native cost of buying traffic from an advertiser standpoint. Before influencer marketing was big, I understood how this works and how they price. So then I've been able to reverse engineer that for years. But now I also have other tools, I have other relationships, and I've been to workshops that brands themselves have given the workshops, you see. So I understand what they think. Clever Tax says, no question, just paying those awesome dues. Been a minute since I've caught a live. Some definite fire today. You guys got this. Appreciate you, Clover. Yep. Price change depending on just how you feel. I don't base a lot of things on how I feel, mind you. Price can change. Yeah, I guess price could change depending on how you feel. I just, in general, I'm like, I'd rather take emotion out of certain decisions financially and business wise, if I can be honest, because I want things to feel consistent and sustainable. If I take emotion out of it, it has a better chance of being consistent. Brand went from paying 2,000 October to 5,000 this month just because I said I don't feel like making videos in January. I would say you probably pitched it differently than saying you just don't feel like making videos. Bridal Sewing Technique says, most of the money I make comes from digital products and sales on Podia. I talk about my products in videos and Instagram stories and reels. Yeah, and I need to do that more often. A lot of you need to know about Awesome Creator Academy and all the cool things we offer there, and I should talk about it more often. Angel D. King, thank you for giving details about the business side. Absolutely. Appreciate you. Yes, unicorns can charge more too. I agree. Let's see. I'm just catching up on some of your comments as I'm behind on those. Oh, Tim Simpson's a new channel member. Congratulations on that. Appreciate you. What's the name of the Sony camera we're giving away at 600,000 subscribers? At 600,000 subscribers, we're giving away a Sony ZV-1F. So it's a camera. It has a built-in lens, built-in flippy screen. We unboxed it earlier, but it's still completely brand new. It's never been used. And so it's, still fresh in the box. Still has the warranty, manuals, all this stuff. And whoever I send this to, I probably send a personalized letter with it. But you get everything. And so if you want to see that, it's this thing. See, when I say brand new, I literally mean it's brand new. So it comes with a lens. The lens is not a zoom lens. I think it has somewhat of a zoom-like feature built in digitally. I might have to order another one because I might have to do a giveaway one. Plus, I might have to do a review of this for budget camera review. And so I can give away a fresh one that hasn't been opened to be used by me so that I can review it properly. But this is a $500 Sony camera. So that will be involved in the giveaway. There'll also be a full vlogging kit that comes with this. And then we'll do some other runners up that will get a lighting kit, a microphone, probably from Deity. And yeah, so good stuff. So when we hit 600,000 subscribers, that giveaway will happen. Anyone who is a subscriber, even if they've been a long-time subscriber, is eligible. And so there'll be multiple prizes given away. It's about $1,000 worth of stuff. This camera's $500, so there's other stuff being given away, including a couple of Deity microphones and a lighting kit. So that is what we're doing. So get your friends to subscribe so we can give stuff away. Oh, we have At Home with Catherine with $30 super chat. Appreciate you so much. Thank you, Roberto. Can you give me a little clarity on understanding your niche? Most of my videos are tutorials and reviews of products used for cleaning your home. So I'm a lifestyle channel. So part of this is about not just the content, but the format, Catherine. So in understanding your niche, a lot of it is understanding who your viewer is. Who is your viewer? What do they come to you for? What value do you provide, right? So the value that you provide is a lot of what determines your niche. Primary example, and also who the audience is. And I'm just trying to adjust my frame here to see what I like for this response frame. And I think that's good. So like, okay, so what value do you provide is what determines a lot of it. And also the format and style also determines a part of it. So there's the topic, there's the format and style of the video, and there's the value proposition of the audience. And those things kind of come together to determine a little bit of what it is that you even have. Like, what do I have, right? So if it's vlogging style videos, and if you're sharing a lot more personal stuff in addition to that, I could see calling it a lifestyle channel. However, if it is just tutorials and products and it's not done vlog-like, the thing is you're not really sharing a lifestyle. It becomes an education channel. It's an education channel because there is really 3 types of YouTube channels, and then they vary into sub genres. So like there's 3 types of, but these aren't niches, mind you. These aren't niches. These are just I would say genres. Let's say genres, or we could say categories even, right? Or you could just say types. There's entertainment channels, there's education channels, and there's lifestyle channels. Can someone overlap and be representative of all 3? Sure, but those people are usually unicorns, either that or they're all over the place. That's the problem. Okay. So when it comes to your channel, the thing is you could have a bucket where you're doing much more educational things and then lifestyle, and it can be kind of hybrid in that way, to where you have some reviews, you have some tutorials, but you're also doing some vlogging, or it's done in a vlog-like manner. So that style and what people come to the video for does matter in that regard. Okay. Getting clarity is harder than people think. A lot of people come to me for coaching just to get clarity and to boil down their ideas to something actionable. So something I would tell you is I would consider, if you want to be more lifestyle, you want to feel like you're more relatable, you have a connection with your audience, maybe you can film some of these things in a more vlog-like manner so that stylistically there's some vlog-like content. And even when it's product reviews, it could be a day in the life with this product. Okay. I've seen some tech channels actually do a lot better from doing that. So the thing is, unboxings, if they're done in the style of a haul video, because people say, oh, unboxings are dead. Unboxing a single product, possibly. But if it's a unboxing that is part of but you could unbox something, but that not be the whole video. Unboxings can be done as shorts if they're just going to be an unboxing. But if you do an unboxing as the beginning or the intro to a day in the life with a product, then it's not just an unboxing. If you do a product review, but the product review is done in a lifestyle vlog type thing where it's like 72 hours with this product, then it's not that anymore. Okay, it's not just a product review anymore. If a product is 2 things versus each other or whatever, but then you're putting them head to head, you could create a challenge video out of it. If I do cheap versus expensive camera, it could be a challenge instead of just a review. You see, because now I'm putting 2 things head to head. And if I put the music and the thumbnail and the style of the video feels much more like a challenge video than a top-down product review video, then I've immediately kind of shifted the narrative of that video in a much more interesting direction. Harder to film, mind you, harder to edit, but more interesting, possibly. Okay. And these things get growth. So, in terms of clarity, you need to really think about the value proposition, the goals of individual videos or individual types of videos. You need to build a content strategy. I build content strategies around like the concept of a capsule wardrobe. I don't know how many of you have like ever bought and put together your wardrobe before, but there's a concept called the capsule wardrobe where it's like, okay, here are like, my hats, my jackets, my tops, my bottoms, and my shoes. And if I get, 5 of each of these 5 types of things, yes, I have 25 pieces of wardrobe, but I have like 125 outfits, let's say, right? So it's combinations. Okay. So what I teach people when I coach with them is a lot of times when we try to get clarity about what their goals, what their value proposition is, what's unique about their channel, what they can do. We get clarity. We get clarity around the content they want to make. Then we figure out their content capsule. So we make a capsule wardrobe of their content. We figure out here's your content buckets. Here are the styles of videos you make. Here are your title formulas. And we figure out combinations so that it's easier for them to make 100 video ideas for the year pretty easily because they know what they're going to make because we're using, 5 buckets or playlist. And then we're using types of videos that they're going to make in terms of their title formulas. And then they're making individual video ideas out of that. So then, it's 5, 5, 5. And so then they have a combination of 125 ideas. So we figure out here's 125 ideas for your videos, right? Boom, we got them. So here's this playlist, this playlist, this playlist, this playlist, right? So we do that. That's another portion of the clarity. We, work out their content buckets in terms of those 5 themes that they have for their channel that are cohesive and share one audience so that they have enough variety for themselves to still be interested in making videos, but it still gels for the audience so they don't feel like they're watching 5 different channels all the time. So then we figure that out. And the other thing is a lot of this, we also start to think about with these content buckets, if like 1 or 2 of these buckets are really great for sponsors, or are one of these 2 of these buckets really good for pushing your own product, or one of these 2 buckets really good for affiliate. So we also figure out how some of these are better to monetize than others per se, right? And so we figure out the monetization mix of, all right, what videos have what call to action? Are some of these videos going to grow the channel? Are some of these videos going to grow your own like reputation with your own products, or some of these videos for affiliates and brands to make money? So like, we have things that there's certain videos that aid. Well, we need this videos because these help reach. We need these videos because they solidify our reputation. We need these to ultimately build our brand relationships. We need these to drive revenue to our own products. So we figure out the monetization mix for the channel, and we get clarity on that too. So at Home with Catherine, I'd have to see more of your content, but a lot of it is, I think that you have like what you think are 2 or 3 buckets, but you don't have a full understanding of your 2 or 3 buckets and how they gel together. And I don't think maybe you've come up with your own series of videos that people love this series, that series, because it's not just, this bucket of videos. It's that you can make multiple series under a single bucket of videos. And therefore we make certain title formulas and people keep coming back for those. So, I mean, if you guys want an example of what I'm talking about, I mean, just think about Mr. Beast has a series where it's like always surviving 24 hours doing something. Last to leave, that's the thing. Boys versus girls, red versus blue, this versus that. So versus challenges. Like there are like different show formats that Mr. Beast has that he cycles through. She fires. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you. Yeah, the full-time YouTuber course, that is probably coming next year. But in the meantime, the brand deals course will come out this year. It's the first course that I'm working on. Then the growth course will come out probably the second half of the year. And then next year, the full-time YouTuber course will come out. Because I feel like foundationally, brand deals is a problem to solve today. It's also an easy ROI for people to say, yep, I understand brand deals better now. Oh, I understand how to work with sponsors better now. Oh, I spent like $400 on this, $500 on this. I went out and got myself $1,000 brand deal. I'm good. I feel good about this product. Like, so I feel like that's an easier one to solve for. I feel like I have assets that are suited to that, like already in place that I can just go ahead and consolidate. And I feel it'll be easier to film. YouTube growth is going to be the more challenging course to make because I have to do so many damn qualifiers for people that are going to be like, oh, I got a course, I didn't grow my channel and everything like that. It's going to be, if you're not monetized, don't buy the course. That's going to be my big qualifiers. If your channel isn't monetized, don't buy the course, because the goal of this YouTube growth course is, for me, it's fundamentals, it's processes, it's about saving time, it's about making money back on your YouTube channel. It's not about you getting 100,000 subscribers or going viral, because I don't believe in going viral. For one thing, I don't believe in viral videos. I don't believe in viral videos. Viral videos, like aside from accidents or people making jackasses out of themselves, viral videos are not an accident. They're manufactured. They're not luck. They're not luck. They're a secret marketing team of like 20 people behind the scenes that came up with that thing, made somebody the face of it, and that's that. Like, if you believe that viral videos are organic when it's not somebody embarrassing themselves, being a jackass, or getting like clowned, or getting into a fight at Waffle House, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you, because like they're about as organic as a K-pop group. Viral videos now, maybe once upon a time, viral videos, aside from like TikTok, I guess, aside from like TikTok or something, or like a YouTube short, aside from YouTube shorts and TikTok, viral videos today are about as organic as a K-pop group. Yeah, I said it. So yeah, no, I don't believe in viral videos. Not as a strategy. I don't believe in viral videos. Yep. And for anybody interested in the brand deal starter kit, thank you, Clover Tack, for posting a link to it there. It's over at awesomecreatoracademy.com/brand starter kit. You're welcome. Thank you for staying focused and setting realistic expectations. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Your Journey Life Blogger, for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up here. I'm just going to try to get to the last questions and super chats because we're at almost 4 hours. I thought I was only going to be 2 or 3 today, but it's been a blast hanging out with all of you. So let's see. I think I'm almost caught up. Roberto, will you be at Vid Summit this year? That is the current plan. The current plan is to be at Vid Summit this year. Will I ever do a book signing? I've actually done a book signing at Vid Summit. I will be doing one at Podfest in Orlando. So I'll be in Orlando for January, the end of January for Podfest. And I'll probably be doing a book signing there. And for people asking me to maybe use their channel as an example in Hype Auditor, the problem is it will take time for it to aggregate your data. So I would not be able to do that in real time because it will take time for it to aggregate your data. Time we don't have. Leela says, Roberto, this live stream feels like a workshop. You just gave out so much info. I would totally buy a course on how to become a full-time content creator. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yep, that will be coming. Yeah, $300 to be able to use the Hype Auditor app. It's a huge investment for me, but the research that I get to do is definitely, for me, I think it's a good investment for me. Me personally. So I feel like it's been invaluable. Switch Corner says, is Hype Auditor something you can use to direct where a channel needs to go for growth, or is it solely good for information for sponsors? This is a good question. I would say at my level, it can be reverse engineered for growth, but at just seeing it once, I could reverse engineer for growth off of that, but not just off of like seeing my own channel, but like just literally seeing a channel's information and seeing where I could theoretically get, like, so for me, seeing like a 1 million subscriber channel, and in Hype Auditor, I can reverse engineer that. It doesn't have to even be the same type of channel as me. It doesn't matter. I could do that. I do not think that Hype Auditor is a good investment for 99.9% of content creators, if just to reverse engineer growth or even to get good sponsor information and data. That's why, in general, instead of paying $300 a month for that or something like that, I'd rather just dissect a lot of that information and put it into one-time courses people could purchase. And aside from that, make cheaper individual assets that people can use as tools to help. Because I think that there's a level of time freedom, right? There's a level of time freedom where you get to think a lot. And the thing is, remember how you always say the things like, if I had more time to think about it, I would have done something differently. But most people, they don't have the time to think about anything. They work 40, 50 hours a week. Then they spend 20, 15, 20 hours on their side hustle, their YouTube, their content. And then if they're going to think about anything, they're going to think about their content strategy. They're going to think about how to grow. They're going to think about how to make more money. So like the amount of time freedom one needs to sit and think and marinate on certain aspects of content strategy, analytics, data, trends, all this stuff is not something that they can do with the time that they have, which means that no amount of the resource or the this or that for some of them would work. If that information as raw data is consolidated into actionable advice, they might be able to do something with it, which is why there's people who watch my content or will buy something from me or coach with me, and they might be able to do something because then there's an actionable process to follow. But if they have to decipher raw data and interpret it and then make it actionable, most people don't have the time and focus and mental energy to do that because their circumstances don't allow for it. By the way, that's why creators who'd been struggling for years grew during the pandemic, because a lot of them just got to sit for 1 month. Finally, they were at 1 month at home. I could just do nothing but think about this stuff. And so literally being at home for 1 month and have nothing but time to think and still getting paid for it is what lets some people finally blow up, and then they quit their job. And that's how some creators definitely grew. More creators grew during the pandemic that had been struggling for years than they ever grew in the years that they were doing this while they had to be at work full time. So just being home and having more hours in a day to just think is what really did it for a lot of content creators. So when they go, so the thing is, I don't believe that 99% of content creators who are out there working and doing this, I don't think that raw data will help most of them. I think that the only thing that helps them besides having more time is being able to make better use of that time by having data distilled into action, which is why I do what I do, is I try to distill large quantities of information, complicated processes and data. I try to simplify it as much as possible to something realistic and actionable, and then do that. Tube Spanner, thank you for the $50 euro. Just finished your book. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Oh, Nick is in the chat. Nick Nimmons in the chat. What's up? So yeah, most of this is going over my head. A lot of info to unpack. I agree. That's my argument. My argument is that it's a lot. Absolutely. Random entertainment gaming. I can't do live Hype Auditor reviews. One, I only get 20 of them a month for what I pay for, but also it takes time to compile the information. Sometimes it takes a day to compile the information. So since it has to compile the information, I wouldn't get it back in time. That's the thing. By the way, it's been a blast hanging with all of you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to everybody who questioned, super chat, participated, asked wonderful questions. Thank you to Daniel Battelle for being my guest. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors over at StreamYard, TubeBuddy, and Epidemic Sound, linked in the description down below. And I will catch you all next time. I'll probably have a video coming out tomorrow, Monday. I probably have 2 or 3 videos coming out this week. There's a big announcement from YouTube about YouTube Shorts happening on Tuesday. So I'm going to be covering that, obviously. And hopefully we'll do another live stream next week. Stay awesome. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.